Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Dimension Zero. My name is Danny Alex. Oh, it's gonna be a little bit of everything tonight. A little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Star Trek, a little bit of Spider-Man, a little bit of James Gunn. I want to play. I also want to do, because I've released a video and there's so many arguments. And I know, and it's crazy. It's crazy. We're talking about starships and windows. I did a video, starships and windows. So I want to play the video. It's a 6-minute video. I want to go through some of the physics involved with starships and windows. You wouldn't build windows in starships. It'd be the dumbest thing. Are there any structural engineers out there? Give me a call. I mean, I think there's some people who have a degree in science fiction TV shows, but they've never taken a physics course in their life. I'll do a video, and I'm talking about real science, right? Real physics. Because the idea of space travel, right? The idea of space travel is premised on real physics. And so the sci-fi stuff is cool, right? It's more science fantasy now. It's actually what I call a little bit of science bullshit, right? It's a little bit of, science bullshit. It's getting more out there. But I will say, guys, look, yeah. Oh, I got a new call. I got a new anthem for the show. Guys.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Oh yeah. Adama. You could argue Captain Adama he's the best captain of all time, starship captain. You can argue it. He's a good captain. But you're going to have to go up against Kirk. You got some Jean-Luc Picard. But Odama. It's like an Obama Adama mix, right? Holy jeez. Oh, man. Oh, jeez.
You're nothing but garbage!
I know, I am.
That's what you want, you're garbage!
I am. I'm garbage. Yeah, but that is the new Dimension Zero anthem. A little bit of Adama. I will play it. It feels good, right? How does this not? Do you remember the episode? of Battlestar Galactica?
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Ooh! That's money, my friends. That is money. So Star Trek. I was leading up to Star Trek. I am not a fan of Strange New Worlds. I think they miss. I think they go to a point of failure. They try and feminize the show to a point of failure, right? Even in the second episode, every single new character was a female. Every single one, just like the first episode. Guys, the one male that they kind of introduced, but that was Kirk's brother. It's not like, they introduced a new character. However, I mean, just be normal. Be normal. You don't need, everything doesn't have to be, the T-Rex, right? In the first episode, the T-Rex had to be female, right? Oh, we got him. He's down. Oh, but guys, it's a she. Oh, I mean, okay. Well, thank you. Scotty's wild. Maybe I should you know what I should do? Hey, Scotty, I'm fired up tonight. I'm gonna do it again.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Adama. I do love Adama. I think he was. I keep forgetting the actor's name. He had just the perfect, especially for Battlestar Galactica, right? He had the perfect temperament. I mean, he came across as a leader, right? He came across as Something. Well, you know what? I'm feeling great today. These are like literally the dog days of summer, right? I want to put the comments there. There we go. I want to play some comments. Just to how do I do this now? I want to do a tall, do a medium, or big? No, medium, tall. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's the way we do it around here. I went to Costco today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I went to Costco today, and I got myself I get this huge bag of chicken wings because I'm trying to do like no carb, right? No carb. Carbs they just bloat me. I don't know about you guys, they bloat me. I got a friend, carbs do nothing to him. He'll eat pasta with bread and everything, nothing. He's like $1.55, and he doesn't gain. Oh man. So I go and I get this big bag of chicken wings, right? And I eat burger patties. I'll just throw like 2 or 3 patties in the air fryer. So good, right? Done in 15 minutes, and I'll schnorp them down. Erica, Edward, thank you, Erica. I know, isn't he good? Edward James Olamos was Adama. He was fantastic. He was a fantastic. I am actually rewatching sporadically. I am on season 1, episode. I don't know what, but I actually watched. Part of it, I watched the Katie Sackhoff has got a little podcast. It's called Battlestar Galac Reaction or something like that. And so there's 2 or 3 episodes with Trisha Helfer, who was at number 6, and they go through some of the episodes, and it's interesting how little they know or remember. But Star Trek. So Star Trek season 4, episode 2. I did not like episode 1. I thought it was just really. Oh, he was incredible. Erica, you knows it, right? I'm rewatching too. Yeah. Because I also got to wasn't bad considering he he does that good too, but that is an all-defining role for him, right? An all-defining role. Edward James Olmos was Odama, not Obama. Not Obama. Adama. But guys, I'm gonna give a little bit of. So I'm a screenwriter, right? And I love screenwriting, and a lot of. So I got like 3 screenplays on the go. I don't know when I'm gonna finish them, but I won a lot of awards. So screenwriting is something that I'm pretty good at. Cause I graduated. I took creative writing in university. Spent 20 years in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. Hollywood. So when I watch movies, I break it down from the story level. And so episode 2 of Star Trek, I didn't mind it. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. They really tried to go in like an Event Horizon kind of a way. And in a lot of ways, I thought they were successful doing it. It almost seems like something with the USS, it was the USS Griffin. And there's something that they're going to be doing with this episode, I think. I think they're going to be doing something more. Because it seemed like there was some, which I think is a great idea. We'll see how it goes. The first episode, ironically, IMDb scored the first episode of Star Trek higher than I would have. I thought the second episode was better. I guess maybe being a science guy, I look at the first episode and I go, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Really? First off, you're going to take this little box of antimatter. You would need like how many billions of, I worked it out, like how many billions of tons, billions of kilograms of antimatter to blow up a planet the size of Mars. Billions of kilograms of antimatter. billions, and they have this little thing, and somehow they weaponize it and they shoot it. It's 65 million years ago. It's the Chicxulub asteroid that comes flying off. This and that. Oh my God! You got to be kidding me! You got to be! You can't. Yeah, I mean.
You're nothing but garbage! That's what you want! You're garbage!
Yeah. So say we all.
That's not what I want. We'll take it.
So say we all.
We'll take Adama any day, right? Anson Mount. I think Anson Mount could have been, because they're so fixated on his hair, right? They are so fixated on his hair. He could be a good captain. He could, if he had a script that allowed him to. He's got the charisma. He's a good-looking guy, right? I mean, if you're gonna be a captain of a starship, I mean, Jean-Luc Picard wasn't, like I said. Well, I'm not a girl. I'm not gay either, so I can't but a guy can in some way assess, whether a man is good-looking or. I mean, Brad Pitt's good-looking, right? He's a good-looking man. Adama wasn't particularly attractive, but he had charisma, right? Adama had if it was Dungeons and Dragons on the scale of 25, he'd be like 24 charisma, right? He had the charisma. He had all that. But so the second episode, and we're going to touch on it briefly. The second episode of Star Trek, which I thought was actually okay. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind watching it. I thought it was okay. They went to that Event Horizon kind of a way. And that was my point I was making with screenwriting. 2 to 3 screenplays that I'm writing are space horrors, because I love writing horror. Some of my most winningest screenplays have been in the horror genre. I love me a good horror, and of course space and sci-fi fantasy. That's what I write, and so that's what I've been writing is space horrors. So to see. Like the Event Horizon. Have you guys seen the Event Horizon? Scotty, you must have seen the Event Horizon. Erica, I'm almost thinking that you probably saw a little Event Horizon yourself. Prost. Prost. Cheers. This is what I call a glass of red wine. Oh, almost went down the wrong hole. Oh. So we are deep in the dog days of summer, right? What is it? August 5th. It's actually only August 5th. And I started talking. I went to Costco today to buy chicken wings and some burger patties, some smash burger patties. And I buy them in bulk. It's so good. But they had Halloween stuff. They had Halloween. I should have downloaded an image. I took a picture and I texted it to a bunch of my friends. I said, "Are you kidding me? August 5th. They had this huge pumpkin and I wanted to buy it. Like that close to buying it. I was really close. Yeah, just grape juice. Yeah. No, it's not grape juice. Alcohol grape juice. Yeah. Boy, so that was big. Like it's big, right? Normally, so I for a long time, also in Los Angeles, I was in the fashion business. Also had a online business selling fashion, and literally we on the wholesale side. You start selling wholesale stuff beginning of August, middle of August, right? Wholesale, but that's wholesale. I mean, I guess to a certain degree, you could say that Costco is wholesale. A lot of retailers go to Costco, but I mean, look, we're getting to the NFL preseason. We're in August. Before you know it, Labor Day's done, and we are cruising to Halloween. And look, these are the dog days of summer. Everything's a little slower. People aren't around. It's like, where'd everyone go? What's going on? You can even see it pretty big in like the online views, the social views. They tend to go down. You know, people aren't streaming. They're out there doing stuff. You know, at least a few people are. They try and get away from, the constant streaming of, videos and TikToks and shorts and everything. I mean, if you're watching, there's a lot worse ways you can entertain yourself. I don't think it's as bad as some people would suggest. You got fermented grapes. You got it, baby. You got it. You got cicadas? Are you? You said you were in the Midwest, didn't you, Scotty? Didn't you say you were in the Midwest? Was that you were? No, Crank is in San Francisco. You're in the Midwest. You got cicadas there? Not this year. Don't they come out once every 17 years or something like that? It's like a science thing. Cicadas. What is there? Like, some people are making, when they make cicada soup or something? I don't know. There's some food that people make with cicadas. I don't know. I remember my first time I went to Texas. We have cicadas here in North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I spent 20 years in Los Angeles. And I've always told myself, if I was going to move anywhere, it would probably be to one of the Carolinas, north or south. I'd probably move there. Maybe even like, yeah, that might happen one day. I lost where I was. So anyway, we're going to talk about, there's some really interesting stuff going on with Spider-Man. Star Wars, the Disney CEO is finally admitting that, maybe think Moana. Did you guys see the numbers for Moana? Oh, geez, I know it's not really sci-fi. It's not, that's something more on my other channel, Pop Rages, but it falls under this whole Star Wars thing. Star Wars is, what a disaster, right? It's, you talk about the absolute destruction. You know what? I did do a poll on Dimension Zero. Let me pull it up because I found this very interesting. I did pull it up last week, but I think there's almost 1,500 votes on it. Let's go there. Let's go. I should have had this set up. Why didn't I have this set up? There we go. This is, oh no, I should have done, yeah. Posts. There it is right there. So I found this to be quite interesting. Let me share this with you. Share screen. Okay. There we go. Now look, now the comments are I gotta figure something out with that. I'll put the comments back up after we finish with this. But anyway, this was a poll that I did, and it kind of showed. Oh my god! Oh, I hate when this happens. Sorry, you can't see it on my side, but this is when Windows messes with your screen size. Okay, so you see, so I did this poll. It only has, well, so far, actually, this is not the poll I was thinking of, but I just put this poll up. What did I put up? Yesterday? The best movie of 2026 so far, The Odyssey at 10% doesn't surprise me. Actually, The Odyssey at 10% surprises me. That's a movie that I thought was absolutely horrific. The screenplay was so terribly written. As a screenwriter and an award-winning screenwriter, I've won hundreds of awards around the world. So I do have some street cred when it comes to talking about this stuff. Christopher Nolan is a terrible screenwriter. What he is really good at is spectacle and covering all of the really bad logic associated with his screenplays. But the Odyssey was an emotionless, sterile. I'm not sure if it was so much terribly acted as much as it was the script was so bad. Bad scripts turn good actors into bad actors, right? So Project Hail Mary, 51%, Toy Story at 4%, Spider-Man Brand New Day, 35%. Spider-Man has been closing the gap with Project Hail Mary, but normally around 200-300 votes, it doesn't change a whole lot, but we'll see. But this was the one I was talking about. 1.4 thousand votes. Who did the best at destroying their franchise? Remember, we had Star Trek. Alex Kurtzman with 19%. Kevin Feige, the lowest at 2%. I think he's getting a little bit of, I mean, he did a pretty good job for the last few years. But look at that. Kathleen Kennedy over there at Star Wars, Lucasfilm, 74%. DCU, James Gunn with 2 movies out. He over doubles Kevin Feige. I tell you, the DCU Spider-Man in one weekend did more money than the entire DCU did. All year. I mean, James Gunn is just doing a horrible job, but that's my point. So, and this is why. What am I? You know what? I'm going to start with a Star Wars story. Let's start with a Star Wars story because I think there's, where is he? Disney CEO. Let's share this. I want to start with this story. And this came out today. This is a fresh story. Disney CEO admits Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and Moana. I mean, Moana was probably one of the worst ideas ever. But The Mandalorian and Grogu for Star Wars, right? You know the condition of Star Wars. If you're a sci-fi fan, this is a franchise that has been utterly destroyed on so many levels. I mean, if from a screenwriting perspective, I hate what they do with the Empire, with the First Order. They just make them so stupid. They give them all this power that is it is literally millions of times the power output of Star Trek, right? It's literally, they use E equals MC squared as a factorial of 1, and then they build off of that, right? So it's like multiple thousands, 100,000s, millions of times of E equals MC squared as a factorial. I mean, it's absolutely, an astrophysicist actually developed this whole energy level system for the hypermatter, the hyperdrive, which is why they can cross the galaxy in 2 or 3 days, right? It's sick. It's sick power. Obviously, the first thing you'd have to look at is where do you put the heat? Well, you're generating that much freaking energy and that much power. Where are you dumping all of that heat, right? Imagine, on a really hot day, you put a fan in front of your face, you're sweating, because we can blow air at our face, and then the air, the density of air molecules takes the heat away, right? It dissipates the heat. Well, you don't got that in space because you don't have, it's a vacuum. There's no way to get rid of heat. This is the problem with, this is why, honestly, I believe, are we going to get to other planets? Are we going to get to outside of our solar system? No, we won't. We won't. Honestly, we won't. But anyway, Disney CEO admits Star Wars and the man. I always get a little bit of throw a bone somewhere and I will chase it. That's underperformed at the box office, but fueled other parts of our company. Okay, there we go. There's which one is Grogu? Okay. Yeah, I've never been a Rock fan. Never have. Never. Dwayne Johnson. Never. Most overrated actor in the history of actors, I think. Disney CEO Josh D'Amore admitted on the company's latest earnings call that Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and the live-action Moana remake both underperformed the box office this summer, although he maintained that both titles were not outright busts for the studio as they contributed to merchandise sales, drove people to theme parks, and more. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. You're telling me, you're telling me a movie that did $345 million, which is a bust. This movie lost, what, $150 million? The movie itself lost $150 million. This is the state of science fiction. You're telling me that, I mean, nobody cared. Even the little Grogu dolls no one was buying Grogu dolls because nobody cares. And if you want to do Moana, oh jeez, there it is, 2026. Look at that baby. Now this thing had a budget of $250 million and an advertising budget of $150 million for $400 million. 263 divided by 2 because the studio only gets half of that. This movie is a certified pushing $300 million. $300 million loss, my friends. That's the way we do it. But it's okay. It's not a total loss. Because, Moana, Dwayne Johnson, the tittyless Moana, they covered up his, in Batman in the 90s, they actually put the nipples on the Batman suit. Well, in Moana 2026, they take the nipples off. It's a nippleless Dwayne Johnson. What are we talking about here? Oh my God, Grogu 501 first here had a Mandalorian that had him, and they were wanting people to punch him at a con. Oh geez. I told him I couldn't. He looked like a small Yoda, and Yoda's my favorite Star Wars character. Okay, well that's Yoda's a pretty cool character. We're going right down. We're going back to 1970, 78, 79? Empire Strikes Back. That's where we first saw Yoda back in the very beginning. To your health, my friends. I hope you're having a good August, a good summer. Summer's almost over. But anyway, let's get back to where are we here? Disney. There we go. So it contributed to merchandise sales, drove people to theme parks, and more. And of course, that's the one thing when a movie busts, it doesn't do. It doesn't do. And when he's on a earnings call, I mean, to even mention stuff like that on a company the size of Disney is absolutely immaterial. I mean, you're literally just bullshitting investors. And I worked on Wall Street for a number of years. I've been there, done that. I mean, I know what these people do on these earnings calls. Even when our franchise films don't meet our box office expectations, as with Mandalorian and Grogu and live action Moana, our investments in these core properties fuel other parts of our company. Don't believe it for a second. Maybe you get a slight bump, but people just don't give a damn about these franchises. They don't give a damn about these movies. There's some hardcore people that still do. I haven't met one. But I think there's some, isn't there? I think there's some people that like Mandalorian and Grogu. What?
You're nothing but garbage! That's what you want! You're garbage!
I know. Star Wars Friday drew guests to the Mandalorian Grogu drove healthy growth in retail sales for the Star Wars franchise and drew guests to the updated Millennium Falcon attraction at Disneyland and Walt Disney World and led to significant engagement in gaming as well, he explained. And the live action Moana is expected to be a strong title on Disney Plus. Yeah, well, we're already paying, $7.99 for Disney Plus. Might as well watch it for free. It's expected to be a strong title of Disney Plus, building on the success of the original film, which is one of the most streamed movies of all time. Disney summed up its outlook on these box office disappointments by writing in its earnings release, these franchise investments contributed to value creation beyond their theatrical releases. Every movie does to some degree. I mean, this is such it's such garbage. The impact was probably, you probably couldn't see it on the balance. I guarantee you couldn't see it on the, for a company that does 25 billion a quarter. You think a few sales of Grogu. You know what the best thing Disney can do? The best thing they can do and say, yeah, you know what? Just like kind of Feige, Kevin Feige. That's why I think people are respecting him a little bit. He's kind of coming out there and saying, yeah, kind of, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I didn't really. Yeah, I got it. I thought, going pure DEI. I thought going, going DEI, woke and swapping characters out for was well, it didn't work out. It worked out to a lot of losses, and a lot of people have just walked away from the franchise. And so you can look. Dahmer can put Armo can put as a brave a face as he wants. Star Wars is crippled. I don't know. The only way you get, to me as a screenwriter, the only way you get like Star Wars or Star Trek back. For Star Trek, you create a series that is just kick ass, right? That is full canon, that gets someone that completely understands Star Trek. And you make a series that everyone absolutely forgets about everything that came before it. It's like Patrick Duffy waking up in Dallas after 3 years. Oh, the last three seasons didn't happen? Oh, okay, that worked out easy. The Mandalorian and Grogu opened over Memorial Weekend and earned $81 million at the domestic box office. Yada yada yada. That is, but the whole idea is, I don't think that does he. Disney CEO Hugh Johnson echoed Dahmer's views. These box office disappointments by saying theatrical performance is important to us, of course, and we certainly aspire to deliver consistent financial results for our films. But the nature of the film industry is that it is more of a portfolio game. And this is the ridiculous thing. When your movie sucks, understand, and yeah, you know what? We could have done better. When your movie sucks, it sucks, right? The movie business is like the one business where, and it doesn't matter whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, horror, romance, bromance, whatever the hell it is. If you messed up, you messed up. It was a bad idea. But they will dance around in circles. And it's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. You know when McDonald's makes a sandwich that doesn't sell? They say, all right, we screwed up. We'll take it out. They stopped selling it. We screwed up. Learn from learn the lessons. The good news for us is our diversified business helps us basically cover the volatility that comes out of the film business. Basically, I mean, you haven't made much money on very many movies. The theatrical window in a lot of ways is just one data point, and the real value of that IP is the cumulative benefit of the decades-long storytelling and our ability to take that IP and lay it into entirety of the Disney flywheel. Congratulations to Sony, Kevin Feige, and Marvel Studios. It's an unbelievable result, and it's one, they're talking about, yada, yada, yada. When these CEOs get on these earnings calls, and I've been on many earnings calls, it's basically propaganda, right? You're there, you're trying to sell as much as you can so that hopefully your stock price doesn't get its butt kicked. How did, let me check, Disney stock. I mean, it hasn't moved anywhere. $101.76, where it's basically been there since 2022. So the last 4 years, it really has gone from a range of about 122 bucks down to 83 bucks. It's I wonder what the hell. I just wanted to check Warner Brothers trading at $25.97. Still very far away from the acquisition price. A lot of doubt with the Warner Brothers Paramount acquisition. The thing is trading $5 off of its acquisition price, almost 20%. So the market definitely thinks that baby might not go through. So that is Disney. So they're basically, Disney is kind of saying, you know what, we might. Oh, jeez. Oh, Kyron, come on. Oh, wait a sec. Where? That's not the way I want me. There, that's better. Kyron, I'm not getting a haircut, bro. This is the way, this is the way Chuck Norris looked like this for a long time. I'm a hippie. Wait a sec. You got to have long hair to have a hippie, Kyron. Oh, man. There's no holy Schneiders. The University of Urban Understanding. You know what? Let me get into this here. At Followers, Danny, Spider-Man, and Star Trek are very different franchises. Of course they are. Dear God, I'm a screenwriter. If there's anyone like, what? All right, that's cool. It's okay. Are very different franchises. Both are built around fundamentally hopeful heroes. Hey, look, and that's part of what's missing in the superhero genre, allowing superheroes to be superheroes. When superheroes are allowed to be what they are, superheroes, people will actually stand up in the theater and applaud, right? Peter Parker believes power creates responsibility. Well, great power creates great responsibility, while Star Trek believes knowledge and cooperation can produce a better future. Do you think modern studios sometimes mistake maturity for cynicism, making established heroes more traumatized, divided, or morally compromised because darkness is considered more realistic? How can Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Future I think part of your mess. I think where you're going, I agree with you. I think you're getting. I think you're getting. There's not there. Yes. Look. I mean, the idea. We need stories of all different kinds. We need stories that are tragedies. I mean, that's basically what Shakespeare wrote, right? Shakespeare wrote tragedies. Tragedies stick with us. If we're on a 3 or 4 or 5 movie roll, we can end at a tragedy, just like Infinity Wars, right? Infinity Wars ended at a horrible tragedy. Huge tragedy. And of course, the whole idea is, well, why'd you kill half the universe? Why didn't you just make twice as much food? I mean, got a point. It's not a movie's responsibility to prove anything. I think Star Trek has lost its way. Star Trek used to be hopeful, but a little. You could see the political undertones of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which is why. And if you took a look at Strange, actually, we're going to get to Strange New Worlds in a bit. The franchise is a far cry of what it used to be. And it's because a lot of people that don't understand what Star Trek is. I'm a science nerd. I've been a science nerd since I was 4 years old. I love math. I love science. I love physics. I love astronomy. I love learning about everything about the universe. I am a nerd that loves numbers and the discovery of what is out there in the universe, tempered by the laws of physics. I'm a laws of physics guy. We are not going to break the laws of physics. We aren't. It's just not going to happen. That's like me saying, well, 1,000 years from now, everyone that's alive today is going to be dead. And then one person says, oh, maybe not. You never know. Holy, okay. Okay, take that. Science fiction has become almost a religion for some people. They believe more about science fiction, about what a screenwriter writes. It's like an energy, like a phaser shooting 1.61 yotta-joules of energy. It was like that one, the finale of season 3 of Star Trek, where they took two starships and they had to shoot like 2 yotta-joules each of energy. Do you know what would happen in space if that kind of energy would melt the ship? You could use like 1% of 1% of 1% of that energy and it would still melt the ship. You just can't, subspace doesn't exist. I mean, Gene Roddenberry made that up. It's just like, hyperspace. It's a BS kind of, you just can't. So I think a lot of people's problems are the spirit of Star Trek isn't what it used to be. It's like Melrose Place writers, like when Spock and what's her name, La'an, they had to kiss in the second episode. There's no reason why you want officers to start, having relationships. People watch Star Trek for the science. They watch Star Trek for the possibility of what is out there in the universe. I think for a lot of people, darkness is more realistic. I think to have happy endings where everyone just walks away and go, oh, goody, 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 haha. I have never wrote a screenplay like that. I never will. Where everyone just walks away and they lived happily ever after ending. I mean, that's bullshit, right? That is, there's no ending. There's no reason. For me, you need, as a screenwriter, when I write something and I write the ending, what do I want to leave people with, right? If I was writing Star Trek, I would go deep into science phenomenon as it relates to physics and the universe and personal relationships, just like Spock's Bones and Kirk. You could throw Scotty in there, Uhura, everyone else, but there needs to be a sense where people need to be left with something to think about. You need to be left with something to think about. This is what science fiction does. This is what science does. 1 + 1 = 2. The only way you can prove anything in life, anything, is with math. Philosophy can't prove anything. Nothing. I mean, I took a lot of philosophy courses in university. Philosophy is just, it's just who can bullshit better with words, basically, right? I mean, that's all it is. Although it's kind of like, I also described it as math with words. But philosophy can't prove anything. 2 people sitting around a couch can't prove one way or the other. Only math can prove 1 + 1 = 2. That's only math. Math is the only thing that can prove anything. I don't think the screenwriters, having spent 20 years in Los Angeles as a screenwriter, the screenwriters that are left in Los Angeles are not the brightest bulbs when it comes to science and it comes to... it used to be a time where people wrote TNG, they wrote the original Star Trek, they wrote even DS9. To some degree, Voyager, but Voyager skidded off the tracks really fast. Discovery, we saw a lot of people coming in and starting to say, okay, I got some things to say, and they're not really science-based. They're more, I always say, season 2, episode 1 of Discovery is like one of the biggest Mary Sue episodes you will ever see. Ever see. Like, it is Michael Burnham, like, being the best at everything, right? It's absolutely. She is the best at everything. She could do no wrong. Season 2, episode 1 is where the Mary Sue of this character hits you like a baseball bat. It's like, whoa, okay, this is a Mary Sue. Scotty. Philosophy does have its place. Yes, it does, my friend. Yes, it does. Look, and the discussion of these things, I think, is quite interesting. I love philosophy. I do. I love philosophy. It's not going to prove anything. You could talk about 1 + 1 = 2 all you want. Philosophize about all the permutations. At the end of the day, math will tell you 1 + 1 = 2. Math will tell you the law of thermodynamics, how they work. Law will tell you about gravity, exactly how gravity works based on mass. And yeah, right. But yes, philosophy has its place, and philosophy helps spur the imagination to a large degree. Yes, Trek not as thought. Oh, let me put this. Oh, sorry. I just go like that. Where are we here? Took you a while to. Me too. Look, and I'm not still totally warm to DS9. I'm not. I am partially warm to DS9. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what some of the stupidest things that have ever happened in Star Trek is, and I made some videos on it, like beaming photon torpedoes. First off, transport is a ridiculous notion. Even Gene Roddenberry knew that there had to be limits, and he had to put, from a story writing perspective, you got to put limits on this stuff, right? You got to put limits. But all of a sudden, Voyager starts beaming. When you start beaming photon torpedoes, why do you even have starships? I don't understand why you have starships. Why don't you just make automated starships? Look, and the Borg have got the best transporters. Why wouldn't the Borg just send out automated ships by the millions with just transporting ships? And they just start beaming hunks of scrap metal into the warp drives of space, of every Starfleet. They just go to the space stations and they just beam junk, whatever they want, just junk. You don't need to beam photons, but you're gonna beam a photon torpedo that has antimatter. How does matter deconstruct antimatter? It's the most asinine, stupid, ridiculous, dumbass thing you could ever frickin' like. If I was in the writer's room, I'd say, you guys know how stupid we're gonna look, right? You do know how stupid we're gonna look beaming a photon torpedo. That means we have to go to the original series, and every time that Captain Kirk came upon a stressful situation with the Klingons, instead of saying phasers ready, he'd say, Scotty, get the transporters ready. But sir, we're going to put power to the phasers. No, Scotty, I want 6 photon torpedoes on those transporter bays. But sir, the photon torpedoes have antimatter inside them. That's okay, Scotty. The screenwriters have assured me that we can somehow have regular matter deconstruct antimatter and send this stuff. All right, sir. I don't know why we've got phasers. Neither do I, Scotty. Neither do I.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Boom! Boom! Odo concept. I loved Odo. Odo was my favorite character on DS9. Yes, Tesla wasn't invented. Boom! I love it. Nice accent. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Guys, welcome to your Wednesday evening. Welcome to Dimension Zero. My name's Danny Alex. I love doing sci-fi videos. Look, and when I do the sci-fi videos, sometimes I'll do videos that are in the fan sort of narrative, and then sometimes I'll do them, like Windows on starships, impulse power. I don't know what my next. I actually no. I know what I got so many videos on the go. But anyway, it's cheers. Yes, I was about to say that. I was about to say that. Prost. Did I pronounce that right? Prost. I speak a little bit of Czech because I was born in the Czech Republic. I was born in Brno. Like I could use, like if I was in Rings of Power, I could say those R's because in the Czech and the Slavic languages, it's very hard R's. Lots of R's in the Slavic languages. Nailed it. Thank you, my brother. Nailed it, my friend. Oh my God. We got such a huge slate of stuff. You know what? That's Star Wars. So Spider-Man, let's test Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is, so when I first saw Spider-Man, my first viewing, which was just over a week ago, I knew this movie was going to rock it, was going to absolutely kick ass. And it's because of the screenwriter in me. It's emotion, guys. When at the end of Homecoming, right? Was that the final I always No Way, sorry, not Homecoming. No Way Home. I knew I was getting something wrong. No Way Home. At the end of No Way Home, what the screenwriters did really well. Oh, why am I slowing down here? I think my internet got slow. There we go. Okay, we're better. Okay. Did I go electric or something? Germanic, yes. Prost is Germanic, yeah. I'm half German, half Czech. So I'm kind of like, I got this like, yeah. Prost. Si, senor. And that is Spanish. You can see, so the setup at the end was, look, at the end of the day, when movies move you emotionally and you feel it, is when these movies turn into mega hits. And what the screenwriters did with No Way Home is at the very end of it, the setup was magnificent through the whole movie. I don't know if the movie was particularly good. The movie, it was okay, but it was set up with a lot of screenwriting clicks, fan-related clicks that they're going to. The fact that 3 Spider-Man, look, the 2 Andrew Garfield movies were terrible, right? I thought they were terrible. The writing on that movie, both movies, were so formulaic, was so cookie cutter, was so paint by numbers. And I like Andrew Garfield. He's actually not a bad Spider-Man. To me, the best Spider-Man is still not Tobey Maguire, is Tom Holland, and he's proving it, guys. He proved it. And so at the end of No Way Home, the whole setup at the very, very end with the coffee shop, and I thought, look, I'm not a Zendaya hater. I thought she did a really good job conveying the fact of this innocence, and I don't know who you are. There's a certain cuteness to her. I know a lot of people. To me, it's like this Zendaya hating. It's almost like I'm not. Is she the best actress in the world? Of course not. Is she the worst? Of course not. But at the end of No Way Home, and I've heard some people, like one of the arguments, I'm not going to say who, because I kind of respect the guy, but sometimes it's like, okay, you're literally just wanting to hate the movie because you're trying to be a contrarian. I don't know why. So one of the big arguments was, where does he get his money from? How come all of a sudden he's got this apartment? At the end of No Way Home, we see him move into this little tiny apartment. It's a hole. And all of a sudden we see him. Well, maybe Aunt May died. Maybe he had an inheritance from Aunt May. Do you literally want the screenwriters to go and to have a court scene saying, all right, the inheritance goes to... Have you ever asked how a superhero makes their money? Hawkeye, he's got this huge farm. Have you ever asked where Hawkeye got the frickin' money to pay for a farm? He doesn't have much of a job because he's never going to work, but somehow he's got a frickin' farm. Every superhero, you could ask that question. How do they survive? But some of these people, I don't frickin' get it. And I'm a screenwriter. You're reaching so far. Now, are there's deficiencies in every movie? There's no such thing as a perfect movie. If there's a perfect movie, then everyone would say 10 out of 10. Everybody would say, I love it. I love it. Everybody. There's no such thing. The last thing I freaking care about is Peter Parker making his money? Well, you know what? Maybe he got an inheritance from Aunt May. Fuck, done. Now shut the fuck up and start dealing with, get to the frickin' movie, okay? It's not an important point. But to even just think that maybe Aunt May left him, pension and $2.5 million, 401k. I don't know. Frick, it doesn't matter for frack's sakes. What the movie did is impress upon people. It's the emotional parts. There's at least 2 or 3 parts in Brand New Day that will pull a tear from your eye. It will. I've heard people say if it's a Brand New Day, well, why are they dwelling on MJ? Are you kidding me? Thank frickin' God you're not writing the frickin' movie. Holy jeez. And if you're that frickin' smart, write the movie then. I'd like to see your rendition of the screenplay. Please, by all means, write the screenplay. Let me see it. Let everyone see it. It does. What? Yeah. So that's kind of like one of these. Anyway, look, there's lots of the ending with Jean Grey. You think Jean Grey is going to turn herself in? Spider-Man can't take her down. So frickin' way. She's just getting her powers, right? She is frickin' uber powerful. Jean Grey is, think of her, I guess you got to think of her as an anti-hero. She's not good. She's not totally bad, but she's capable of bad. And look we've seen Jean Grey do bad. Now that's as the Phoenix going, with, superheroes I don't know. There's so many people. Look, you got to give some better story plot arguments than these stupid surface level garbage stuff that you're talking about. A movie does not do as well as it does, except for, I gotta say, for The Odyssey, which is an absolute shit movie. That is a lot of Christopher Nolan. It's a bad movie. It's as sterile can be. It's a bad movie, and I think it will be remembered as a bad movie. But Spider-Man, so the biggest ever Tuesday. I want to get into some of this stuff quickly. The biggest ever Tuesday for Spider-Man. There we go. We're going to turn that off briefly. So the biggest Spider-Man Brand New Day lands biggest Tuesday in box office history. The records keep piling up for Sony's superhero blockbuster. Stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Sadie Sink. Now, guys, here's one of my biggest problems with Spider-Man. These are these are university level kids, right? Kids. And you'll see Spider-Man using a soldering gun to do one of his. Okay, you're using 1940s technology. You're using a soldering gun to develop one of your little neck things. A soldering gun. They've used it in Ironheart. They used it in Tony Stark used a soldering gun. 1940s technology. They used it in Andor. You guys got hypermatter engines traveling at 2,500 light years per hour. And you're using soldering guns? Holy shit. Now that's something to discuss. Spider-Man Brand New Day keeps delivering more records and breathtaking box office launch. Now for Tuesday, the Sony Pictures feature has set the record for the biggest Tuesday in domestic box office history of 42 million for the day. This surpasses the previous Tuesday record that Sony held with Spider-Man Far From Home, which earned 39.2 million on July 2nd, 2019. And of course, Tuesday is the discount day, right? I don't know if there's that's kind of over the weekend. Oh yeah. So over the weekend, Brand New Day was in a close battle with 2019's Avengers Endgame for the biggest domestic opening weekend ever. The competition culminated in Sony confirming Monday morning that Spidey had prevailed to claim the crown with $360 million. Spider-Man. And if you take a look at, yeah.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Remember the days where Star Wars used to pull in some big numbers? Remember that? Star Wars, remember? People love sci-fi. People love science. Project Hail Mary. Almost 700 million. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on just box office numbers because I don't think that, we are a sophisticated crew here at Dimension Zero. We don't need to. That's all we needed to know from the box office. But I do think Spider-Man. Was there anything else I want to touch with Spider-Man? I mean, there's a whole thing with Jean Grey. I found no problem. What I found. Look, the biggest problem. You guys want to know? Here's the biggest problem with Spider-Man. Here's the biggest freaking problem with Spider-Man, and I could not believe it. The Punisher. He's got the sniper rifle. Have you seen? Okay, I watched Spider-Man No Way Home over the weekend. Dr. Octopus. Did you see the fight with Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus? Dr. Octopus takes his spider from beneath. He smashes Spider-Man through the bridge, through 6 feet of concrete. Spider-Man takes such a freaking beating. He takes electrical damage. He falls off a 200-story building and lands on the ground. Not a scratch. He takes a punish. You're trying to tell me this guy, Spider-Man, who takes damage beyond what... We don't even know what can kill Spider-Man because he never gets hurt. And then you're telling me, so he's standing there with Jean Grey. And then the Punisher shoots. He senses the bullet coming. All he had to do was shove Jean Grey away, right? Or create a little spider, shield to knock the bullet away. Or to grab her and pull her away, not walk in front of the bullet. But I'll tell you what, that sniper bullet would have went through both of them. It would have. But I honestly don't think that a bullet could penetrate Spider-Man. The damage that he takes, he went toe-to-toe with Savage Hulk. Toe-to-toe with Savage Hulk. Oops, forgot to put that back on. He went toe-to-toe with Savage Hulk. Not a scratch on him. Not a scratch. He's not even scared of Savage Hulk. Spider-Man, he gets put through concrete. He gets, I mean, the damage that he takes, and there's never a broken bone. There's never a cut on him. And you're telling me, so when he got hit by a bullet, my first thought was we got hit by a bullet. No way. No way. You're not, there's no way. There is no way. He survives everything. He gets put through 6 feet of concrete. He stands toe-to-toe with Savage Hulk.
You're nothing but comics! That's what you want, your comics!
Spider-Man, I'm telling you, I don't think a bullet could kill Spider-Man. I don't think a bullet would penetrate him. If a bullet could penetrate Spider-Man, he would have been dead a long time ago. But it's kind of one of the problems with Spider-Man. What kills him? We see him take damage that is beyond anything, right? So with Spider-Man, we don't know what actually kills him. But a sniper, is it because it came from the Punisher? If it was just some other Navy SEAL, would it be the Punisher? I love John Bernthal. He is the highlight when it comes to playing that character. But the Punisher would have been dead long ago fighting these super characters. He would have been long ago. Give these guys super serum or something, because regular humans are not going to survive against freaking meta humans. It's ridiculous. I love the character, but you're not going to have a regular human because they went through Navy SEAL. That makes every Navy SEAL a superhero. Every Navy SEAL is now a superhero.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
And I'm okay with that.
Hail the victorious dead.
I'm okay with that. Like he was killed by Lego. I agree. Yeah, no, yeah. Scotty, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I think we think alike in many ways, my friend. So okay. Spider-Man, Star Wars, Star Trek season 4 episode 2. On a quick review, I already talked about it. Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 4 episode 2 wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I liked it because it was more that Event Horizon kind of a way. Look, there's not many people. The one thing I will show you guys, if you take a look at Event Horizon, not Event Horizon. I want to watch Event Horizon again. I'm going to watch Event Horizon this weekend, actually. I love that movie. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it. But if you take a look at, let me share this with you. If you take a look at how bad Star Trek is doing, it hit. If you take a look at Flix Patrol. I mean, nobody is watching this show. They actually put, I don't know if you guys saw on YouTube, they put the first episode on YouTube and it only had 39,000 views. Like literally, the whole first episode, Star Trek Strange New World, season 4, episode 1. Maybe it's got 42,000 views on a brand new episode. That is the state of Star Trek. And every time you get someone in the comments that says, "Oh, you know what, Star Trek is," they will jump. Top TV shows on Paramount on August 5th, 2026. 35. A score of 35 on Star Trek Strange New Worlds for season 4, episode 2. 35. So the top on Paramount's got 272. If you go back to some of these other on Amazon Prime, Off Campus at 399. Amazon Prime top movies, The Devil's Mouth 454. Top TV shows on Disney Plus, Furious, Pompeii. I watched the Pompeii at a time with Tom Hiddleston. I actually watched it. It's actually not bad. If you're interested in Pompeii or like ancient Rome and stuff like that, excuse me, you will like that. Tom Hiddleston is a fantastic narrator. He's a fantastic narrator. Very entertaining. Look at this, 720, Devil Wears Prada, 720. Mortal Kombat 2 on HBO, 512. House of the Dragon, tomorrow night on Poprageous, I will be talking about House of the Dragon. It was quite the episode. They're doing some things wrong that I think are wrong, but it could be forced upon them. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But anyway, 706, Idaho. That's the thing, 706. Now, it can't be directly correlated, given the way that flicks, but it can be directly correlated. So, Star Trek Strange New Worlds at 35. You've got the other shows on there into the high hundreds. Star Trek Strange New Worlds right there, my friends. 35. Which basically says no one's watching it, which is why they're releasing the episodes on YouTube to try and get some kind. And this is the state of Star Trek. It's bad. If Star Trek was a compelling series with good characters, with good screenwriting, it wouldn't be at 35 on a brand new season. So it's a sad state of affairs for Star Trek, my friends. It is a sad state of affairs. That is what it is. To your Wednesday evening, my friends. Thank you for joining me. I always have fun. I love you. Did I mention? So I did go to Costco. I mentioned it earlier in the show. I went to Costco and I saw Halloween stuff. Do I have any Halloween noises? I don't think I have any Halloween noises. Is that Halloween? Oh, it's a donkey. Ain't much Halloween is it?
Hey, baby.
You're nothing but garbage! That's what you are! You're garbage!
I've been called worse. Prost! Prost, my friend Scotty! Senor! Prost, my friend! Yes! 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 I really want to get to the video Starships and Windows. 6-minute video that I made. There's been so much conversation across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. People are arguing about this. Like, this is space. Windows and Starships really should not happen. It's pointless. Because you would have a starship that is 1,000 kilometers away, which is close in space terms, right? 1,000 kilometers in space. When you see these space battles in Star Trek, it's like a dogfight, right? They're fighting. They move within like 500 meters of each other. A meter is basically a yard, a little bit more than a yard. I think a meter is like 3.3 feet. A yard is 3 feet, right? Something like that, right? But if you had windows at a starship, you would basically see the same frickin' thing the whole time. And you're telling me that the human eye is going to work better than sensor? So the technology for cameras and sensors would be like so far beyond what we have today. So you would have internal screens that would look like windows, to give the feeling that there are windows on board, to give comfort to the crew. But these sensors and these cameras would be like so freaking ridiculous. They would actually give people a sense of, Do you think the human eye is part of the technological makeup of the 23rd century, 24th century, whatever century you want to pick? Matter of fact, I don't think we're getting out of our solar system. I think we will wipe ourselves out as a species long before we ever get out of our solar system. What is Scotty saying here? I see they actually came up with transparent aluminum. Yeah. That's the but actually, Scotty, transparent aluminum actually exists. I don't know if it's in the spirit of what Star Trek is talking about, but transparent aluminum actually exists. Maybe not, but it's not. It has nothing to do with what the windows are made of. You're breaking the structure, right? You're breaking the structure. Thanks to Scotty. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know you know. I know you know, my friend. Cheers. Yes. This is my magic. It's my magic grape juice.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Hey, I'm not here to. What the hell is that? Well, no, and that. But could you do it with some sort of? And it makes no difference what the material is, right? It doesn't matter because anytime it's like if you built a skyscraper with no windows and it's just metal bulkheads going all the way up, the skyscraper would be absolutely freaking, 10 times stronger. The second you start cutting windows, you start, compromising the bulkheads, you start compromising everything. Those are weak points. The vibration, you think when a starship accelerates, there's no vibration? You think there's no vibration? One of the examples that I put in there, when you're close to a star, on one side of the starship, the sun is shining, a star is shining its sunlight. On the other side, it's not. On one side of the starship, it could be 1,000 degrees. On the other side, it could be -1. Or actually, it can't be minus 1,000 degrees. It could be minus 200 degrees. And that differential, when you got windows, we'll get into it. We're going to get into it. There's one thing I wanted to get at with James Gunn. James Gunn. James Gunn. James Gunn is in so much trouble. Yeah, no cutting. Yeah, the second you start cutting into the structural, and so you would basically have a Starship Enterprise that wouldn't have even Galactica. You wouldn't have any windows, and Galactica does pretty good. They don't have many windows. We're not even sure on that one little part with the Galactica. You see a little lights. You assume those are windows, but there's no way that little part of the Galactica is 6 stories. That part of the Galactica in there, and then it has the outside and the top. That little part of the Galactica, given the size of the Galactica, that would be like, what would that be? Like 30 stories, right? Be like 30 stories in there based on the height dimensions that they give us. If the Battlestar Galactica is 1,450 meters long, 1,445, call it 1,450, right? 1.5 kilometers, which is basically almost 1 mile. 1.6 kilometers equals 1 mile. It's the height is, what is it, like 600, over 600 feet. So it's a 60, 70 story building, the Galactica. So that little part in there, which makes up 25%. So you're talking about 20 stories. Like, if each story is 10 feet tall. And I know they can't create that size But so I want to play. I do want to play the video. James Gunn, Supergirl. There's a Supergirl. Where's the Supergirl article? I mean, this is so. Is it sad? I don't know if it's sad. When James Gunn came out and said Supergirl was going to be Supergirl was going to be our second movie. Oh, great. So your entire universe now is basically two of the exact same characters. You're constructing a universe with two of the exact same characters and a dog, which is the exact same character as the first two characters. The fact that you just should have remade The Flash. You should have remade Wonder Woman. Where's Batman? Batman should have started this whole thing. Why is there a Batman 2 coming out with Robert Pattinson when you're trying to remake a DCU? Like, this is a shite show. This is a total shite show. James Gunn, this is what you are.
Nothing but garbage! That's what you are! You're garbage!
Yeah, that's what Hard words ring true, my friend, James Gunn. James Gunn is such a disappointment. Supergirl concludes its box office run as the lowest grossing DC movie since 2004's Catwoman. For the record, guys, I do like Millie Alcock. I think, just like The Odyssey, really bad scripts turn good actors into bad actors. And if you've seen The Odyssey, it is a horrible, sterile, uninspired, Lego block design story that will keep you watching for at least an hour until you fall asleep. Okay? It'll keep you watching for at least an hour. You'll fall asleep. I always say, you'll watch it. People are going to watch this thing on a Saturday night streaming. They're going to fall asleep, husband and wife. They're going to fall asleep and then wake up. It's like, oh, we'll finish it tomorrow. To finish it tomorrow will never happen. And everyone will watch like 1 hour. Did you see The Odyssey? Well, I watched an hour and I fell asleep. That's what The Odyssey is. It is a bad movie. It is a really bad movie. And I know that James Gunn, Christopher Nolan had some things to say about amateur reviewers on YouTube. Now, I don't think he's necessarily wrong, but everyone gets to have an opinion. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, so at least when I say, look, Christopher Nolan, your screenplay sucks, at least I've got some backing, right? I got some proof. I got street cred to say, look, your screenplays suck, and it's just not The Odyssey. Your trilogy with Batman sucks. Tenet sucks. I mean, there's a lot of. We'll get into it another day. Supergirl is officially. I don't want to subscribe. Concluded its run at the worldwide box office, and similar to Spider-Man Brand New Day, it's just set a record. Unfortunately, this isn't one that DC Studios will want to talk about. With a final total of 120... I got the numbers up here too. I'm not sure if it's worth to pull up the numbers.com or box office. With a final total of 125.8 million. Supergirl is the lowest grossing DC movie since 2004. That only made 82 million. And The Maid of Might will also end her run in theaters with 83 million less than Joker, For le Deux, and 45 million below Sony's Marvel flop Morbius. Adjusted for inflation, Supergirl actually made less than Catwoman. They just keep kicking Supergirl right in the teeth, making it an even bigger flop. Misfires happen. Look no further than last year's Captain America: Brave New World for proof. But look, these things to me, these things are so identifiable. They're so identifiable. They're so easy to look at and say, why are we making this movie? Have you ever you're literally forcing round peg, square hole, or square peg, round hole. Take your pick. It doesn't matter. But this is just, look, James Gunn, Supergirl opened to a mere 37.1 million. I was $20 of that 37.1 million in North America in June, and just over 62 million globally. A disastrous start that made it clear right away the DC Studios movie would lose money. Supergirl had a reported 170 million production budget and spent less than 100 million on marketing. It's funny how really? You think so? I don't think. I think they spent a nice round 300 million. That's what I think. I think this thing's going to lose. It's going to lose 200 million. It's going to lose 200 million. And the only point that I want to make here, Supergirl is everything that is wrong with the movies. James Gunn does not know what he's doing. If I could not believe the second movie you're doing is Supergirl, isn't that the same as the first movie you did? What's the difference? I don't understand what the difference is. You basically made 2 Superman movies. Now you're making a 3rd Superman movie. It's going to take you 4 or 5 years to try and get Batman into this thing, to try and get a contingent of, oh my God. James Gunn, like, you seriously, you don't know what you're like. Here's the thing. And you know what? This was the biggest thing that I realized with James Gunn. He does not care. He does not care what other people think. He only cares what he thinks of the movie. That's all he cares about. This is another thing that I want to share with you. James Gunn didn't approve of one major part of Supergirl's original script. Are you kidding me? All we heard about before Supergirl was how amazing this script was. And now this comes out. Let me show you guys. And then this comes out. James Gunn didn't approve of one major part of Supergirl's original script. Oh, shit, I can't do that. Is generational brain damage to blame at all? I mean, there could be. Well, is that a phenomenon? We may have to start tests on this generational brain damage phenomenon. Oh my God. Oh jeez. James Gunn didn't approve. Oh yeah, we said, yeah. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn requested some changes to Supergirl's script. You run the frickin' studio. You run the studio. Now all of a sudden, when the script is absolute garbage.
You're nothing but garbage! That's what you want, you're garbage!
All of a sudden, now the stories come out. Well, I thought it was the most amazing scripts needed to be made. James Gunn requested one change to Supergirl's script for a very good reason. Supergirl was a major test for the DCU as it marked the first project not written or directed by James Gunn. Look, I don't care whether it's written or directed. James Gunn's involvement, he doesn't know what the frick he is doing. He doesn't. He is more concerned about what he feels or what he thinks about the movies as compared to what maybe the fandom does. He just cares of what he thinks. Though he remained involved as an executive producer. If you're the executive producer, you run things, man. You're the top dog. You're the top dog, bro. You're the top dog. You're the tigger. You're the tigger. You know what I'm saying, mate? You're the tigger. Unfortunately, even a cameo from David Cornsweat's Superman. Really? Really? You could have had a cameo from Marvel's Doctor Doom. You could have had there's no cameo is going to help crap, right? If it's a piece of shit, it's a piece of poop. It's lying there in the grass. You don't go, well, you know what? It really depends on who pooped it out. No, it doesn't matter who pooped it out. If it's poop, right? Am I right? Am I right? If it's poop, it's poop. Well, not matter depends on who pooped it out. No, it's poop. Unfortunately, even yada. While explaining how James Gunn is protective of Superman in an interview with Brandon Davis, Supergirl scribe Anna Noguria pointed screenwriter. She's the screenwriter who wrote one of the most terrible scripts because she's not a screenwriter. She hasn't written anything. When a DCU boss questioned the Man of Steel's dialogue, it's his dialogue, with criticisms like he wouldn't say that. Well, then why didn't you change it? You signed off on the script, James Gunn. For the most part, it seems that DC Studios and Gunn were high on the Supergirl script and seemingly didn't foresee issues with the Superman spin-off until post-production. He is protective of Superman. There is like a couple of things in the moment, in other moments where he was like, he wouldn't say that to her. And I was like, okay, cool. But mostly we had the same idea. Davis also questioned Noguria on her philosophy behind writing Superman dialogue for David Cornsweet, to which she described the Man of Steel as the best big brother you've ever had, who is always looking out for his cousin. Well, David helps so much because he's just he just is like so clearly Superman in my head right now. Obviously, there have been many Supermans, but in this moment, he's in my head whenever I'm doing it. What was that? What was just said there? Like, what the? Can you say something? Can I repeat that? Tell me if this makes any sense. Well, David helps so much because he just is like so clearly Superman in my head right now. Because you're thinking of Henry Cavill? Is that why? Obviously, there have been many Supermans, but in this moment, he's in my head whenever I'm doing it. Doing what? Writing? So what is the key to writing Superman dialogue? Just the best big brother you've ever had. He's like very aware of just making sure Kara's okay in like so many different scenarios. The dialogue and how Superman treated Kara was freaking atrocious. It was atrocious writing. Honey, what's your name again? I forgot. You are a shit screenwriter. You've never written anything. Never. No freaking deal with it. And if you're going to write Wonder Woman, why is James Gunn still there? But anyway, so it was just a little bit of the dialogue. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know. The DC writer singled out Kara and Clark's first meeting on Earth as one of her favorite scenes in the movie, and also the first scene they shot. She explained how Kara and Krypto's exit from their pod was when she was like most a fish out of water, as she was yet to experience Earth's culture and language. Wait, someone has a favorite scene in Supergirl? This is the screenwriter. This is the person that wrote the movie talking about her favorite scenes. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I think it was the first scene that they shot in the movie, period, which I think is really cool. Oh, it's really cool. That, like, Millie's first scene was her most out of step scene. Even the way she writes or talks is... It's the moment when the character is most like a fish out of water, right? She first got there, and so I think that was her first scene, which probably adds a little something to it. Ladies and gentlemen, just reading her comments, if that doesn't tell you, if it doesn't pose the question, how did she get this job? She's never written anything in her life. She's never taken any creative writing courses. She's never like tested film festivals and put her screenplays into film festivals and let her peers decide whether her writing is any good or not. Why is James Gunn so protective over Superman? It's that natural James... It's natural that James Gunn would be so protective of David Cornsweet's Superman, as he is not only the frontman of the DCU and one of the world's big three superheroes. He is not. I don't think he's one of the big three superheroes anymore. He's not. He was at a time. I just don't think Superman is anywhere close to being one of the top 3 superheroes. Spider-Man is. Batman, we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, that's the article. I don't want to keep going into what James Gunn thinks. The idea is that he just lies and he passes off responsibility. You greenlit the project. You said this was a project that I liked. I love the script. The script is so good. We have got to film this movie. From a screenwriter who's never written anything, has got no creative writing experience, hasn't put her screenplays into the film festival circuit to have her peers critique her screenplays. Nothing. That is the state of affairs of the DCU, and it's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. God bless Spider-Man.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Everything is faltering. Everything is faltering, my friend. I am actually looking forward to Star Trek, the next episode. So interestingly enough, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the next episode 3 comes out in a few hours. So we literally Dimension Zero on Wednesday nights is like 4 or 5 hours before the episode of Star Trek Next Generation. Strange New Worlds comes out. I will watch it tomorrow. But we will talk about it in 6 days and 22 hours. That's when we will talk about it. So that is, oh God, oh my God. Star Wars, Star Trek, the sci-fi, a lot of people, the discussion about Battlestar Galactica having a spin-off series. There's some interesting spin-off series you can do. But it really depends. Look, you can ruin a really good, right? If you do a Battlestar Galactica spin-off, you could utterly destroy what was already done. Just like Alex Kurtzman's doing, just like Kathleen Kennedy has done, just like Richard T. Davies did with Doctor Who. Like what are these deep science fiction? Battlestar Galactica is basically untouched. The Expanse, I don't think there's any. Stargate, right? Stargate. I've got to watch SG-1. I started watching SG-1. I love Universe. I've watched the first third of Atlantis. So I got some viewing. It's like it's intentional. Hollywood is doing this. Well, it is intentional. I think, Scotty. I think it's intentional from the perspective that the people that are now in Hollywood, because of course I moved away, a lot of the people that I knew in Hollywood went out of business. Look, there's so many production companies that went bankrupt, out of business, boom, starting in 2023. There was a heyday up until 2022, and all of a sudden, it's like, did the strikes have something to do with it? Yes, they did. The strikes, now, is this a supply-driven problem that no, it's not supply driven. Did the strikes have a negative effect? Yes, they did. But the main negative effect, the main thing that is destroying Hollywood is its attention to the discipline of storytelling. That is what is killing Hollywood. The strikes helped exasperated some of those problems by maybe 15, 20%. But the main problem is still the studios creating these, forcing in political themes, right? You can't say anything about transgender or, my dear God, you're just such a bad person about transgender stuff. Like, I'm sorry, if you're a guy, you want to dress like a girl. That's your thing. The rest of the world doesn't need to freaking know about it. Do we? Why? I wanted more Caprica, but nope, we got the one season. Oh, you wanted more Caprica as a New Caprica? As the planet New Caprica? What you know what I wanted? I wanted more Battlestar Pegasus. I think they could have, instead of just sacrificing her, it seems so abrupt, right? When they sacrifice Battlestar Pegasus, it seems so abrupt. I would have done something that you destroyed her. She's done, right? The Pegasus is finished. There could have been so many more things you could have done from a screenwriting perspective. They made it almost ambiguous. Well, what happened to her? Was she destroyed? Was she this and that? Whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I'd have to, from a screenwriting perspective, you have to think about some of the permutations. But Caprica, there's a lot of directions that Battlestar Galactica could have went in, and I think a lot of the things were budgetary restraints, because we didn't see much space battles in season 4. So you do. So Scotty, you liked Stargate, the first SG-1? You liked it? You enjoyed it? I heard it gets better with time. Well, with each episode, SG-1 gets better with each episode. Yes, I need to give it. The first couple of episodes didn't do much for me, but apparently I just got to give it some time, and I'm willing to do that. How was Pegasus? I love the Pegasus, right? Battlestar Pegasus.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Yeah. Adama. No, as in the series that followed the Cylon's creator Daniel Greystone and the older man's father. Yeah, that was a very short-lived. I got you. I totally forgot about this. That is interesting. I had totally forgot about this. I remember it. I think I watched like one episode, maybe 2 episodes. Oh my God! Thank you, Erica. I'm gonna have to. I totally forgot about that. I'm gonna have to revisit that. Totally gonna have to revisit that. Yeah, that's right, Caprica. 2009, 2010 series. Pegasus would be a great spin-off if they didn't destroy her. If they didn't absolutely, like, if you had the Pegasus like literally exploded to pieces, and then the side thing where they had the Pegasus on it fly by the camera. If it kind of ended the Pegasus, right? Look, you could bring in any other Battlestar, right? Who knows what Battlestars survived? You could bring in any other Battlestar. Bring in the Prometheus, right? 2400. That's 2.4 kilometers. Bring in the frickin' Prometheus. The Prometheus has one saying, and only one saying only to any Battlestar.
You shall not pass!
Yeah. SG1 gets better. Yes, give it time. Okay, all right, my friend. I'm doing it, Erica. I'm gonna switch back and forth. I'm gonna do like an episode, because I love rewatching Battlestar Galactica, and I don't have to rewatch it. I mean, there's so many characters that I really enjoy in there. I mean, I love Baltar, right? Guys, Baltar. I love Trisha Helfner. I love Grace Park. There's so many characters. Adama. Stargate builds into a great storyline. Okay. All right. Well, you got me convinced. Lee killed her. Lee killed which one, Erica? The son or the father? Which? Did I miss? Oh, Pegasus! Right. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, but here's the thing: is what people don't know. But you got to remember the Pegasus. It wasn't him. He had no. The Pegasus. The engines were damaged. It was already fatally damaged. So how they describe when the Pegasus came in, which basically saved the Galactica and everything, is it came in against 3 battle stars. Now, from my understanding, what the Pegasus was, with the Alpha Strike and the kind of weaponry that the Pegasus had, it would have taken more than 3 battle stars to defeat the Galactica and the Pegasus. You probably would have had to have had 5 or 6 battle stars, because the Vipers were far more advanced than the Raiders were in dogfighting. My problem is, I would have made the Pegasus Uber, right? If she had the kind of weaponry you're talking about, I would have made her pulverize a couple of battle stars before she went down. Let her fall as a legend, right? Let her go down as a legend. I don't think they gave her credit. There's some things as a screenwriter I would have liked to have seen more of, and then other things less of. I like the way they had the Cylons in season 4, the integration of it, and look, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper to hire human actors than it is to have, if you're gonna just have a whole bunch of Cylons. By your command. It's pretty boring, right? So you needed to develop some sort of humanistic, and to create the easiest way to create android humans is to cast humans. It's the cheapest way. So I get a lot of things from the production side of things. It made sense. And look, the casting was fantastic. I loved the Starbuck story, right? Where Starbuck dies, but she comes back, and you're not sure whether she's a Cylon or not. I thought that was a great storyline. I loved it. And then Starbuck, she finds herself, dead. She gets her, base stars. Yeah, way more to get the Beast than 3 base stars. Yeah, there should have been 5 or 6 base stars. If you're going to take out the Pegasus and the Galactica, right? Let these ships. It's not like a 1-for-1. The Pegasus had the Alpha Strike. When that thing went in there, and it just rammed the. It was Eric. So agreed that it was. I'm going to do that. There we go. Whoopsie. It was definitely. I would have done, as a screenwriter, I would have done it differently. I would have done it differently. Even when introducing the Pegasus the way they did, I wouldn't have introduced the Pegasus the way they did. The way I would have introduced the Pegasus, I would have had like the Galactica surrounded by like 3 or 4 base stars. I would have had 1 or 2 civilian ships explode, death, and it was like Battlestar Galactica was fighting her way through 4 Cylon base stars. It was this far from being destroyed. Galactica can't take 4 Cylon base stars. But then from there's some weird explosions that go on. You know, sir, we've had, you know, explosions. We've had one of the base stars just disintegrated, however you want to describe it, right? And that's how you introduce the Pegasus. It was introduced in such a unflattering way. I would have had the Pegasus come in and save the Galactica, where the Galactica is surrounded by 4 base stars. Pegasus comes out and just annihilates them, right? From the side and from the back. Boom, boom, boom. Galactica has new life. They just fire off everything that they got. They're absolutely powerful. That's the way I would have done it. That's the way. I don't think Pegasus was introduced properly. I think there's a lot more ways to dramatize this stuff, which I don't think they got right. They could have dramatized it a lot more, my friends. Yes. Battlestar Galactica.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. Whoop. Don't hit that button. Okay, so I want to video file. So I want to share this with you guys. This will be our I think our last segment here this evening. It'll be a fun segment though. It'll be fun. Where are we here? Which one should I play? The raw one? No, I'll play the
In almost every sci-fi franchise.
Hold on a second. Oh yeah. So let me set this up here. And that's okay. Let me try and make this. Oh, I see. Okay, let me fix this up here, guys. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this. I don't think you guys can see what I'm doing, but you'll see when I save it. There we go. Update layout. Thank you very much. There we go. So this is the Starship and Windows. So this is just basic physics. All this is basic physics. You're not going to create starships 200, 300, 400 years from now. And look, and I will argue, no one's creating starships. In 50, 60 years, all we've done is created a low orbit space station for $150 billion. The only thing that we've done as a human species to go out there into the universe is to create probes. We're great with probes, but anytime you put humans in space, it don't go well, or it takes hundreds of billions of dollars. We will not turn into a Star Trek civilization. I just don't think it's possible. But so the idea comes, and when they're building, so if you're but let's just say you're gonna build a starship. Let's just say you can. Why would you put windows in a starship? That's the question. Why would you put windows in a starship? And this is what this video is. This is the video that I made. This is a Dimension Zero video. Would starships actually have windows?
In almost every sci-fi franchise, starships are covered in windows. But in reality, those windows would be a huge problem. Science fiction writers usually explain away the danger with energy shields, force fields, and navigational deflectors.
And that's a big thing, right? So anytime when physics comes a knocking, right? The screenwriters, and this is what's shocking to me, people in the comments, and like one day, maybe even next week, we'll go into the comments. We'll go through the comments of some of these videos that have like 500 comments. Well, people are talking about, so you'll talk about the actual physics of windows in a starship, but people will bring out like structural force fields and stuff, like all the fictional BS. It's like, oh my guys, understand. That doesn't exist. That's a screenwriter just writing it. What can we'll just make do this. People literally, it's like believing Game of Thrones is real, right? It's literally believing that Game of Thrones is real. And these people believe the crap, they believe what they see on TV and Star Trek usurps actual physics. That's the crazy thing. Let's keep going.
But those are fictional solutions. In the real world, every part of the ship would have to survive years of radiation, impacts, and accumulated structural stress. Space is filled with micrometeoroids and debris moving at several kilometers per second. At those speeds, even a tiny particle can hit with the force of a bullet.
And of course, Star Trek uses the deflector shields. They just have this. Well, every time there's a problem with physics, we'll invent inertial dampeners. Look, if inertial dampeners actually existed in a starship, every human being would be dead. Because the human circulatory system relies on inertia. Our entire system is based off of gravity. It's all based off of momentum. Now, if inertial dampeners were applied across a starship, everyone would die instantly. And it's not like, so you're telling me that you can apply inertial dampeners selectively? It's like, okay, we'll apply it to everything but the humans. Oh, Jesus Christ. What the fuck am I listening to? Anyway, let's continue.
Relativistic speeds, a grain of dust could strike with explosive force. A solid hull would use several layers of armor to absorb and spread out that energy. But every window would interrupt those layers, creating an area that is more difficult to reinforce and repair. A starship's structural strength comes from internal structure. Frames, ribs, and bulkheads that carry stress around openings.
There's no difference from when you're building starships of this size. The structure of how it is built, if you think that these structural fields and inertial dampeners and all this other, techno-babble garbage that's made up by screenwriters is real, then you could make it out of balsa wood then. Just make it out of paper mache, for crying out loud. No, these hulls would need to be. That's why the Expanse is the closest thing. You would probably have, what would a real starship look like? A tube. It would be like a skyscraper, and it will be full metal, probably an octagon, right? To create strength within a structure. But would you create windows? Well, let's keep going.
That doesn't mean windows make a starship fall apart. But what they do is create weak points. And the larger the window, the greater the opening that must be reinforced. That adds more framing, more weight, and more complexity, all for a view that the crew doesn't actually need. Every window also creates seams, seals, and joints that must survive constant vibration, acceleration, and extreme temperature changes.
And you could just think the amount of vibration. Now, you think there's no, machinery vibrates, stuff vibrates. When metal is put together and moves, it vibrates. Every time you have more and more seals, every time you put more and more windows into the structure of the starship, it gets weaker and weaker. If there's any structural engineers, please, a structural engineer would probably be able to explain this even, more eloquently than I. But did you see all the windows in the Enterprise D? No. I mean, you would turn the Enterprise D structurally into a structure that would be so easily destroyed because of all the windows. You need to break the bulkheads, all these frames that create strength within the structure of the starship. You would have to interrupt.
The side facing a star could become incredibly hot, while the other side freezes. Over time, that repeated expansion and contraction could weaken the entire assembly. And because the window and the surrounding hull would be made from different materials, they would expand and contract at different rates. That would place even more stress on the seals connecting them.
And that's a big thing too. You get too close to a star. On one side of the ship where the sun's hit or the star is hitting it, you could be 200 degrees. On the other side, you're minus 200 degrees. Windows would just create more and more issues. Scotty said, Scotty is great point. Science is often mistaken for magic. Science fiction is not science. Science fiction has become science bullshit. Okay? It's utter science bullshit, which is fine if you want to enjoy science fiction, but it keeps getting more and more magical. That's the problem. Prost, my friend, Prost. Erica, based on I loved Kane, okay? The Battlestar Galactica, I had to go back. I had to go back in time. I loved Admiral Kane. I loved her. I thought she rocked ass. Would I want her as my commander? No. Not unless I was having sexual relations with her. Maybe. But back to no hiney in hand today, different flavor and chaser. Oh, Scotty. Prost, my friend. Prost.
These starship windows wouldn't be made of glass. Even if they were made from a thick, layered, transparent composite built to handle pressure, shock, and extreme conditions, they would still be much more vulnerable than metal alloy armor. In Star Trek, starship windows are made from transparent aluminum, designed to flex rather than shatter under stress. But that does nothing to solve the problem. Every window interrupts the hull plating and design, creating seams and structural weak points. The material itself may be incredibly strong, but the frame around it, the seals holding it in place, and the connection to the hull would still have to survive every impact and sudden acceleration.
And that's the problem. Every time you put in a window, you interrupt the structural integrity of that ship. Each window makes it weaker. If you had no windows in the entire Enterprise D, and the whole thing was just based on bulkheads, right, going through, and you had metal armor holding it all together, it'd be like a shell. Would it be pretty? No, it wouldn't be aesthetically pretty for the TV show, but it'd be freaking strong. But mind you, the way the Enterprise is built is ridiculous. A little bit of kinetic damage would knock those two, the nacelles, would knock those two nacelles off like that. It's a pretty ship, but it's probably one of the worst designs. Now, every Star Trek person who loves Star Trek is going to go, oh, look, Star Trek starships are art. They are art, and I love them. But they are one of the worst designed starships out there, period. Star Wars does much better with their wedge-shaped. If you're going to push, into a wedge. The best is the Expanse. The Expanse wins, right? But Windows! Let's keep going. Oops. Oh, shoot. Where'd I go? What happened? Uh-oh. I hit the wrong place. Okay, we'll start here.
But that does nothing to solve the problem. Every window interrupts the hull plating and design, creating seams and structural weak points. The material itself may be incredibly strong, but the frame around it, the seals holding it in place, and the connection to the hull would still have to survive every impact and sudden acceleration. A window is not just one component. It is an entire assembly, and every part of that assembly creates another possible point of failure. They would also provide significantly less protection against cosmic radiation and high-energy particles. So every window would need heavy shielding or shutters, defeating the entire reason for having windows in the first place.
I really love... It's one of the best. This is one of the best Battlestar Galactica. Like And you see those little dots there in that little middle part. That gets pretty close to how big this ship is. It has half the square footage of downtown Chicago. That's how big Galactica is. But I think the point there is, look, every time you put a window in, you break the structural integrity of the bulkheads. Now, any structural engineer will say, yeah, like, okay, you know what? It'd be better if you just keep running these things. This, you know, this whole structure of girders going this way, then they're going this way, and then those 90 degree, which I believe is, I don't know, I'm not a structural engineer. Every time you put a window in there, each window weakens it. And if you got an Enterprise D, now you've got a horribly weakened starship. Kinetic damage will do that much more damage. So Battlestar Galactica's weapons would tear the Enterprise apart. A lot of Trekkies are going, oh, you're wrong. Oh, no. Galactica's kinetic weapons would tear the Enterprise apart.
Science fiction writers use impact and sudden accelerated radiation and high energy particles. So every window would need heavy shielding or shutters, defeating the entire reason for having windows in the first place. And radiation wouldn't just threaten the crew. Over time, it would also degrade transparent materials, clouding them, discoloring them, or making them more brittle. A window would gradually become weaker over time.
And you see they're just walking by windows. That was the Orville, right? They're just walking by windows. Like those windows mean anything. What you would see out those windows would never change. You would just see little tiny lights the whole time. What's the point? It's better to have to have big video screens up there playing old movies and stuff. Nothing changes. You're going to rely on the human eye? The human eye? When you've got 300-400 years of technology for camera technology, sensor technology. Oh my God. Are you serious? The fact that they're putting windows in a freaking starship is laughable. As a matter of fact, hold on. Windows in a starship are freaking laughable. All right, let's continue.
And less transparent. Once the shields fail, windows become the most obvious points for damage to break through. Kinetic impacts would crack or even shatter them. Energy hits would wear them down, maybe even melt them. And if one fails, you don't just get a little damage. You get an explosive decompression. That could turn loose equipment and fragments of the window itself into dangerous projectiles. Emergency doors would have to seal the compartment immediately, adding even more machinery, weight, and potential failure points.
And that's a big thing, right? One window fails. Instant decompression. And it's not like instant means instant. So that if one window fails in the Enterprise D, unless you've got you don't have your corridor sealed off, the entire ship would implode. One window breaks, the entire ship would absolutely implode. Instant decompression across the entire ship. Physics doesn't wait for. Physics doesn't give a shit about sci-fi, Star Trek, or Star Wars, or Galactica, or whatever. Physics wins every frickin' time, okay? I don't care if it's aluminum, right? Crank, yeah. Crank. May as well make them out of transparent aluminum. Yeah, we talked about that already. Exactly. I mean, it's a little, It's only the bulkheads. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You weaken the bulkheads, you weaken everything. The second one, every door would have to be a blast door, would have to be now, are you telling me that every door in the Enterprise D or a Star Wars Imperial Destroyer, every door is a structural, one window explodes, it breaks, cracks, whatever you want to call it. The entire ship is gone. It's over. Bye bye. It's a how do you?
You shall not pass!
If one of those windows breaks, you shall not pass. That's what happens. Okay. Windows at a starship are about as dumb as a fifth wheel on a car.
And visually, windows would offer almost nothing. At interplanetary distances, enemy ships would appear as tiny points of light, if you could see them at all. Sensors would detect danger thousands of times farther away and in every direction, including through darkness, glare, and radiation. A window only shows what happens to be directly in front of it, and limited by the failings of the human eye. A sensor network could provide a complete view around the ship, magnify distant objects, track their movement, and display information that the human eye could never see.
Yes.
That's why a starship would never rely on windows and the human eye for visual information.
Could you imagine? Wait a sec, you're relying on the human eye? You've got frickin' teleporters? You've got frickin' warp speed? But you haven't developed your camera technology beyond 1960s? Are you frickin'... You still rely on the human eye? Dear God, what the frick am I watching? You still need the human eye. You're teleporting entire human beings from here to there. But you still need the human frickin' eye to tell you what's in front of you. You would have cameras that are a million times like the Hubble, like what the Hubble is, what, how many feet, 20 feet wide? You'd have the Hubble in like 20 inches, right? You'd have like 1,000 Hubbles built all around the starship. But no. I trust the human eye because it's so good. Whatever.
It would use state-of-the-art sensors, powerful cameras, and multi-layered reinforced hulls instead. And it would project an image that looks and feels like a real window. The crew could still look out into space, but through a screen built into a solid armored wall. It would provide an even better visual experience without cutting hundreds of unnecessary holes into the structural design of the ship. Because in space, windows are about as useful as a fifth wheel on a car, and every window would significantly compromise the structural integrity of the entire starship.
So that is whoa, what the hell is that?
In almost every...
Hold on a sec. There we go. Craig's in the house. Craig, I find your lack of faith disturbing. Excellent. Scotty, I imagine that's in response to Kane. Kane is badass. Yeah, Kane is badass. I loved the actress that played Kane. I think she was awesome. She played a kick-ass female. Flawed, very flawed character. I forgot the actress's name, but she was mean and sexy and a lot of things all at once. Hats off to that actress. She did freaking awesome as Kane. Awesome. 100%, my friend. Scotty, but you keep assuming it can't be done. You're using Earth knowledge and understanding, consider alien technology far advanced like Galactica. Well, I'm not sure what that's in relation to. I just use physics. I'm not sure what that's in relation to. There's no way. You can't create a. One of the most craziest things that is using the assumption that technology is going to somehow break the laws of physics, right, Scotty? I mean, that is insanity. You're not going to break the laws of physics. You're not. You're just not. Anyone who thinks they're going to break that technology will allow us to break the laws of physics, holy jeez. Okay, you got to go to school, right? I know you. I'm not sure what. I always assume it can't be done if it breaks the laws of physics. Yes, absolutely. I'm not using Earth knowledge. I'm using the laws of physics. Now, Galactica, the Galactica had to rely on Tillium. Tillium was 120 million times more. I'm not sure if the word is destructive than TNT. 120 million times more explosive than TNT. 120 million times. There's nothing out there. So now we're inventing new elements, right? We're just inventing new stuff. So that would create an element that you just go and mine, and you put X amount of energy into getting it, but you get 100 million X mining it. What the fuck? Are you serious? Now with oil, I know with oil, like we put X amount, but we get, I'm not sure what the amount of multiplier is. Oil is already, if there is antimatter out there, we could just go and find it and scoop it up and say, look all the antimatter I found. Wow, look at that free energy. That's not how antimatter works. It doesn't exist. You need to create antimatter, so you're going to lose 50%, the law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy. Whatever energy you put into a system is going to be a lot less than you get out of it, right? I think the video, yeah, that was like the video that I made there. That's my latest video. Go watch it on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, TikTok. Where else did I put it? Pinterest? Did I put it on Pinterest? No, I can't put on long videos on Pinterest. Would you absolutely trust tech to show you? What about the EMP? No, I don't trust tech. No, I trust tech. So you know most people don't know this. What is it called? In about 2045 is when, this whole chip mania stuff, how chips are growing. Now, we've reached a level where the heat created by the chip is now limiting us from creating chips that are any more powerful. By 2045, we will have reached the very end of our chip development. Chips cannot just keep growing. It won't keep going. It's the, oh boy, what am I going to, hold on a second, dimension. Okay, so where did I put this? This is very interesting. Okay, let me show you guys this. Because there's a limit to technology, there's a limit to chips. And a lot of people don't realize this. We just think that chips are going to keep getting stronger, more powerful. There's a limit. And we're almost on that limit, approaching very, very soon. Share this tab. And this is from dimensionzero.space. This is my website. Are there limits to technology? Computing industry estimates a hard stop technology wall by 2045. Phase 1, physical and commercial silicon wall. We're approaching it, 2030 to 2036. This is a period where traditional transistor scaling, Moore's law, faces a structural dead end. A predetermined date, major semiconductor roadmaps indicate that traditional approaches to shrinking transistor features will completely collapse by 2036. That's because you can't get any smaller, and there's too much heat created on these chips because heat is created. You just can't dump the heat into subspace because subspace is bullshit. Right? The reality by mid-2030s, atomic feature sizes will reach sub-nanometer levels where quantum tunneling becomes an insurmountable problem. Without getting into the details, Phase 2, energy and energy Landauer wall, 2030 to 2045. Even if engineers rely on exotic materials to sustain scaling, they will run directly into an absolute thermal and power delivery ceiling. The rapid acceleration of CPUs and heavy memory is projected to trigger a massive data center energy crisis by 2030. The power draw to fuel classical AI systems will begin colliding directly with global energy grid capacity. That's just our ability to create energy. This is a really important one. The absolute thermodynamic limit, 2045. If the industry successfully shifts to advanced architectures like adiabatic computing, slowly manipulating electricity to avoid heat dissipation, a lot of this is about heat. And reversible memory, researchers project the absolute baseline of the louder limit will be reached by roughly 2045. That's your limit. Beyond this point, any further attempt to process a bit of data generates an unavoidable quantum tax of heat that will melt the chip structure. And of course, someone will say, well, we'll figure something else. It's like these are limits. These are limits, absolute limits. Financial, the economic wall. Technology will likely freeze commercially a few years before hitting absolute physical and thermodynamic barriers due to skyrocketing infrastructure costs. The billion-dollar bottleneck by 2030 to 2045. The cost of building a single chip fabrication facility to print atomic scale or photonic systems is estimated to exceed 100 billion. Zero return on investment. At this cost, only a tiny handful of nation states or hyper monopolies can fund research. When a 500% increase in capital investment yields only a 2% increase in computational speed, yada, yada, yada. So what we're talking about are actual limits. We are happily living through this hyperscaling time that will end. There will come a time where we cannot create anything faster. And you'll just think, we'll just figure it out. We'll just figure it out. No, these are laws of physics. We just won't figure it out. We can't go light speed within our atmosphere. We can't. Things like, the air and stuff get in the way. We can break the sound barrier. We're not going to go light speed within our atmosphere. We would destroy our atmosphere. There's some things that just aren't possible. And you can't say, well, we'll figure something out where if we go light speed within our atmosphere, we'll figure something out where we don't destroy our atmosphere if we go light speed within our atmosphere. No! There comes a time. So anyway, the timeline summary. Here it is at the bottom here. That should be 2030. Grid power limit, 2030. Data center power requirements clash with electrical grids. 2036, silicon endpoints, physical transistor scaling halts entirely due to atomic sizes. We can't get any smaller. Economic scaling, the cost of fabrication facilities hits a dead end for commercial return on investment. Thermodynamic limit, year 2045. Advanced adiabatic computing hits the unbreakable Lauder limit. Unbreakable. The Lauder limit is hit in year 2045. And there's nothing we can do. That will be the end of computing. We might find some ways to squeeze the lemon on the corners, but in 20 years from now, we just think that computing will just keep getting, no, once you start getting into like nanoreceptors that are 1 atom wide, there's only so much heat that a computer chip can take, right? A computer chip can only take so much heat. And you put it in space, it's like a starship, right? Like this is stuff that people don't understand, especially in science fiction. People just think, oh, we'll just figure it out. We'll just figure it out. I'm doing this video on has science fiction become a religion? Isn't that an interesting question? Has science fiction, I think science fiction has become a religion, not to the people who understand physics. Not to the people that understand physics. But I get so many comments on the videos that I put out with As Dimension Zero. So many comments. And I'm like, one guy says, which video was it? He goes, well, maybe in a different galaxy, the laws are different in a different galaxy. I said, wait a sec. You think that there's different laws of physics in a galaxy? Like, what the fuck? What? I read some of the comments and I'm like, wow. Can we teach more physics in school? Can we please? But anyway, Scotty, that's the I don't use wishful thinking when it comes to I use physics. So the videos that I put out, like with impulse power or with Windows or things like that, I only use physics. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you. We're having fun, aren't we? I think we're having fun right there.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Adama power.
Hail the victorious dead.
Damn rights. Physics can probably be manipulated. No, it can't. No, it can't. That's the thing. Physics cannot be manipulated. You have to work with the laws of physics. They are what they are. The laws of thermodynamics, the laws of entropy, the laws of gravitation, the laws of they are what they are. They win 100% of the time. You can't manipulate them. You can't the math within physics, the laws of physics, they are finite. They are exact. You can measure them like they are like boom, boom. I'm a physics guy. Like I'm a math guy. I'm a science guy. So I would like to think so, but no, there's no bending. The laws of physics don't bend for nobody. Nobody. The TARDIS is more powerful than anything in BSG or Star Trek. That is true. That is true. The TARDIS, my friends. The TARDIS is more powerful than anything, and especially when we got the gay. Time Lord. We got a gay Time Lord going on, right? Hey, Craig, did you like the gay Time Lord? Did you like it? He's dancing there. Remember the first thing with what's his name? Nushuti. I put a picture up. Was it last week or the week before? Shuti Guata. I'll find the picture I put up. Where is it? This is a Time Lord? Wait, what? Wait a sec. Where am I? Oh, there we are. This is a time. Wait a sec. Is this a Time Lord? Where are we here? This is. Oh wait, I thought I hit the. I thought I hit the. Oh, there we are. That. That, my friends, is a Time Lord. Actually, what I should do, I shouldn't have done like that way. There we go. That's the image I gotta show. There you go, right there. That's the money ticket, right there. There you go. That is a Time Lord. If you ever thought, now, I don't care if you're gay. I don't need to. I don't. I would have to say, even if you're gay, even if you're gay and you enjoy, if you're gay and you enjoy Doctor Who, this could not be the vision that you had in your mind for Doctor Who. That is a Time Lord. I know they destroyed Doctor Who. I mean, they destroyed it so bad, nobody's willing to put money into it for a new season. Six, almost going on to 7 decades, right? 7 decades. To an ant, we are gods. To an ant, we are gods. Yes, but an ant also doesn't have the, I mean, I would love to see if we were ants, what's the other side of it? If that's a Time Lord, that's a Time Lord. Wonder what aliens think. I've never met an alien. I've dated a couple of aliens in my life.
You shall not pass!
You pissed him off. Thanks, Scotty. Oh, he's too trusting. Oh, shite. You don't get it. Ed disagrees. Yeah, no, I know. I get it. I get it. My friend Ben Feister's in the house. Shite. Sup, awesome people. Hey, Ben. Senor, my friend. We're looking now. This is a Time Lord. This is a Time Lord. This is Richard T. Davies having his way. I wish we could go back in time when there was 2 genders. Wait, there still is. Yes, there's still only 2 genders. You're either a male or a female. Physically, that's all there is, right? Up there, if you're confused, that's something different. I'm not minimizing the confusion for people. Look, if people are having psychological problems, issues, stresses, I feel for, like, I'm not going to minimize someone's, issues that way. I'm not. Oh, I love water. But but we don't need this is not. This is not. That's not a dot. Where is the one picture? Oh my god, that was the one, right? Can I wait, how come it's not? There we go. This is crazy. This is okay. This is, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a Time Lord.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
I should not have used Adama's chant, which is sacred to us, right? Anyone who is Battlestar Galactica savvy, that chant, so say we all, is sacred.
You're nothing but garbage! That's what you are! You're garbage!
That's better. That's better. That's better. Does he have boobs? However, super intelligent can probably do whatever. Probably, yeah. Look up micrometeorite damage to an aluminum block. Do I gotta do that? Yeah, do I gotta do that? Can't even copy paste it. Damage. Oh yeah, right, yeah. Okay, this is the I know. I was understanding. Where is he getting to? I got it. Yes. Let me. This is interesting. Without. There. That's what we're talking about. That's what you're talking about, right? Crank. That is a. This is at hypervelocity speeds around 15,000 miles per hour or 25,000 kilometers per hour. A tiny micrometeoroid or piece of space debris creates a massive impact crater or deep puncture hole in a solid aluminum block. As kinetic energy scales with the square velocity, v squared. Even lightweight materials like plastic or small flecks can instantly vaporize metal and cause catastrophic structural damage. And this is one of the things, Crank, this is one of the things. I did a video on this. A 1 milligram grain traveling at 30% the speed of light will. I forgot it was like 30,000 megatons of TNT or something like that. It's absolutely strong. Now we're talking kinetic damage, right? Kinetic momentum. This is why, if you watch some of the Star Trek episodes, I have a whole list of them that I'm making a thing on. Like when momentum almost destroys the Enterprise. If you take Battlestar Galactica weapons, when you have 20-ton projectiles traveling at 100 kilometers per frickin' second, it would tear the Enterprise apart. It wouldn't take long. It would not take long to tear the Enterprise apart or to tear apart the Imperial Star Destroyer. It is momentum. This is, what was it? Newtonian law is freaking powerful. It's powerful. Believe me, if you think that Battlestar Galactica or Pegasus weapons are just like, oh, they're nothing. Holy shit, man. When you have a 20-ton projectile hit like maybe in a 10-foot space with that kind of momentum, as it hits the Enterprise, the entire energy grid of the Enterprise, based on the TNG manuals, would have to condense, and all of the energy would have to, like, it would drain energy from everywhere instantaneously. The ship would be left with no energy. And then another one hits, and another one hits, and another one hits. It would be freaking torn apart in seconds. People that don't understand, and I'm a Star Trek guy. But if you don't understand basic physics, and this is a great example, Crank, it really is. Momentum and inertia. If you got 20-ton shells traveling, like this, yeah. And this was a tiny little piece. That's freaking crazy. If you get, yeah, I mean, it's. I hardly ever watch Doctor Who, so I'm not interested. Personally, it's a meh series. Yeah, totally get it. You know, if you never, if you're not into it, it's one of the, look, Doctor Who is a cult classic. It's a cult classic with millions of people. If you started watching some of the old stuff, you might get, what's his name? Matt Smith. You would love Matt Smith as Doctor Who. David Tennant was good. Tom Baker was excellent, right? David Tennant was good. Matt Smith was good. Peter Capaldi, it was a 12th Doctor. I mean, I would say David Tennant, Tom Baker, and Matt Smith, right? Those are your main, your great Doctor Who characters. Doctor Who is one of those shows where you start watching it, you're like, okay, this is really geeky. This is ultra nerd. Doctor Who is ultra nerd, but it's freaking good nerd, right? It's like original Dungeons and Dragons, which I love. That's what I am. I'm a huge D&D collector. I got D&D stuff that is worth thousands of dollars, right? Old 1979 Dungeon Master guides and the original monster manuals and the player's handbooks and the white box. I don't have any of the old wood grain boxes, but I got some of the most rare white box Dungeons and Dragons from the 1970s. It's kind of the same way. So Doctor Who, Ben Feister, I don't know. You might start watching it, and you might kind of like it if you pick the right doctor. You might. Yeah, this guy's definitely a Time Lord from Woodstock. Yeah, yo guys, Django Fett. Yo guys, I was in Tatooine last week with some guy stole 500 credits. Please help me when somebody finds a guy. Okay. Turn that water into wine, man. What are you doing hydrating? I know, right? I know. I could, you know what? Yeah, my wine, I'm here. My wine is actually, if I got to point that way, it'd be kind of like, yeah, let me get back. Let me get just a mouthful of little wine here. Hold on a sec. Hold on. You got 20 seconds. Take a bathroom break or something. All right, we're good. We're back. Cheers. Prost. To your health, my friend. To your health, my friend. I think we're in the grab bag part. If anyone out there wants to talk, well, I'm happy to talk to anybody. Anyone that's out there, my friends, Crank. I'm Jesus. I turned an empty glass into half a glass of red wine. I am YouTube streaming Jesus.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
He looks like a queer Eddie Murphy. He does. He does. He does. Where was it? Where is it? Oh shoot! I stopped sharing. He does.
Sci-fi franchise.
Oops. Actually, we don't need to see him again. Yeah. Is the dude that is yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. Kaboom! Kaboom, baby! Always comes back to old school. Because we're talking about momentum and impact force, the Enterprise D's torpedoes and phasers can have the same damage potential as well. With this level, no. So energy, so it's an interesting... Kinetic weapons are their main destructive force is just all of that energy is forced into the kinetic side. So the problem with Star Trek is it's fake, right? The whole idea of phasers and all of that energy going into a phaser would actually just melt the ship. It would just absolutely melt the ship instantaneously. Because anytime you create energy like that, there's waste heat, right? Waste heat is generated. You can't stop it. It's like your car engine, right? If you have a car engine, you have a radiator, and the fact that wind blows through your engine and the water goes through your pipes, it's the same thing. We got to cool down that engine. We're only talking about a vehicle that takes you to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. Now, yes, there's resistance, there's ground resistance, there's air resistance, but even in space, you got to think of all of that energy pushing a 4 or 5 million metric ton spaceship. So the energy is a big problem, but momentum, so now we're dealing with light, right? Photons or phased light. If you're talking about a yottajoule of energy, so you're talking about two issues. When that one yottajoule of energy fires, it's going to create recoil onto the Enterprise. That recoil is significant at 1 yottajoule. At 2 yottajoules, oh, like this is just crazy. Now, when the phaser hits the other ship, it also has to deal with not only the energy, but because it's light energy, it's not like a tungsten alloy shell that the Galactica sends, right? You're dealing with mass. There's a lot less mass with light and photons. But it has momentum. It has momentum. So yes, when the Enterprise phaser hits, so the inertial dampeners would need to create a force equal to the amount of momentum created by the phaser, which would be, so basically if you have 1 yottajoule firing, you need to have 1 yottajoule of energy created in the inertial dampeners. Look, there's no way you could create this much energy. Now you're talking about energy for the teleporters, life support systems, energy for cooling, energy, it's impossible. It is impossible to have that kind of energy out of 259,000 kilograms of antimatter. That creates 15% of 1 warp bubble. I mean, it's so yes. So Ben Feister, yes, energy, light, and photon, because it's a particle and a wave, creates momentum and recoil, just as anything else would. Erica, it's been a great show, but my dogs have to go out starting. Hello, Agathon and Adamali. Catch you again next week. Erica, thank you very much. Kiss your doggies. I love doggies. I'm a doggy guy. Scotty, D&D rocks. The original D&D. The original. I used to play. I miss it so much. I do. One day when I'm done this whole creator, yeah. If I may say, ladies and gentlemen,
You shall not pass!
woo! William Hartnell as the first Doctor, Patrick Troughton as the second Doctor. Oh, jeez, we're talking about this guy knows his doctors. Holy shit! As the third Doctor, I started watching Tom Baker as the fourth. Tom Baker, yeah, Tom Baker was. There's a few Doctors they were just different, right? Matt Smith, Tom Baker. There's a few Doctors that are just the schnitz when it comes to Doctor Who. And if you watch them, and if you recommend Doctor Who, you got to watch the good Doctors, right? Right, Crank? You got to watch the good Doctors. If you break physics, you destroy reality everywhere. Exactly. If the laws of physics do not work exactly the same everywhere in our universe, to the decimal place, to the millionth decimal place, literally, to the billionth decimal place, if it had all changed to the billionth decimal place, if it changed all of a sudden, the entire universe would cease to exist. Yes, we have constants within our universe built within the laws of physics. These constants, look, Star Trek and Star Wars, and although Battlestar Galactica tried to be as faithful to the laws of physics, you break these laws and you utterly just destroy the universe. Crank, that's a great, that is, you know what? That is a great statement. If you break the laws of physics, you literally destroy reality. You do. That's a great way. That's an easy way to put it. No, the laws of physics won't change as 500 years from. A lot of people in the comments of a lot of videos in Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and whatnot. My Dimension Zero TikTok is absolutely freaking rocking. I mean, it is rocking. There's such TikTok is starved for sci-fi stuff, real science, real sci-fi stuff, and I think that's why. But anyway, the comments are kind of like, oh my god, I can't even comment because it's driving me crazy. Well, the biggest thing, the torpedoes are not energy-based weapons. No, they're actually antimatter. Right? They have an antimatter. That's their, as we've seen in the original Star Trek and TNG. The Enterprise D's torpedoes can be fired at warp speed as well. Well, I've never seen them fired at warp speed. I've heard it said. Oh, wait a second. Cheers, Ben Feister. Cheers, my friend. Photon torpedoes don't travel particularly fast. So it says 75% faster than launch speed. So sublight impulse travel, when launched at sublight speeds, it can accelerate up to 75% faster, no independent warp. And this is obviously, this is not science or physics. This is TNG bullshit, right? Okay, torpedoes are frequently fired at slower velocities during close-range engagements. This delay ensures the matter and antimatter warhead components have the necessary fraction of a second to fully mix before impact. It doesn't even make sense. If you have antimatter and matter mixing before impact, you can't mix matter and antimatter. The second one proton hits anti-electron hits an anti-proton, it's over. The whole thing goes. That statement doesn't even make sense. Obviously, you don't. I haven't shared with you what I'm reading. The problem is, Ben Feister. Look, whatever Star Trek says, it's not physics, it's not science, it's not real. Antimatter Antimatter is, if they're gonna launch these things at warp speed, the amount of energy it takes to create just one single warp bubble is to the tune of millions of kilograms of antimatter for the Enterprise. It's not even feasible to create a warp bubble for a photon torpedo. The amount of energy you would have to use. This is why, like, Star Trek stuff, as a science guy, I'm like, and I love Star Trek, right? I love sci-fi. None of it makes sense. It's like, oh, what? You cannot create a warp bubble for a photon torpedo. It defeats the purpose. You know, if you create, here's the thing, Ben Feister, if you create a warp bubble and you shoot something off at warp speed, you don't need antimatter in there. You could do that with my wine glass traveling at warp speed when it impacts. We just saw what happens. Where do I still have the image? Oh no, I closed the image off. Right, with the micro thing hitting a piece of aluminum. You wouldn't need antimatter at warp speed. Holy cow. You got something traveling faster than the speed. It's the Holdo maneuver, right? It's the Holdo maneuver all over again. Why would light have kickback? Because it's particles. I'll use the exact example that Star Trek used. You ought to. Boy, it's amazing. A little bit of wine, and you're hitting all these extra letters everywhere. I got the semicolon in. Where'd that come from? Oh my god. Okay, so I gotta share this with you guys. I did a video, and maybe next week I'll. So this week we went over the starships with Windows video. If we go through. Share screen. This one, yes, please. Thank you. Then we go show on stage. There we go. Perfect. So now so this was something that came from, where was it? Strange New Worlds. Off of the Strange New Worlds. A 1.61 petajoule. Yottajoule. So a kickback of recoil of 1.61 yottajoules. This was one firing of the. Now, 1.61 yottajoules would melt the starship instantly. The waste heat would be unimaginable. Let's just say the waste heat doesn't exist. Okay, let's just shake it off. Is an apocalyptic amount of energy. It equals 38 million gigatons of TNT, which is millions of times more energy than the amount of annual consumption of the entire human race, or roughly the total energy output of the sun over 8 seconds. Okay, where's the recoil? If a weapon fires physical, you know what? Let me see. What is the recoil of a energy weapon? Holy, where weapon? A weapon discharging of directed energy via photons imparts a total recoil of momentum. I don't know, over 5 quadrillion newtons, enough to accelerate a multi-ton starship backward at staggering speeds. It would be like a percentage of light speed. It would be literally a percentage, like 30% of light speed. If so, Strange New World just throws out these stupid numbers, right? This is why I call it science bullshit. It's no longer science fiction. It's science bullshit. The momentum for even massless light carries momentum, as defined by. There's your the numerical value divided. The practical impact. This is the equivalent to launching a massive asteroid worth of momentum out of a barrel in reverse. A handheld device. What would the recoil be? A 1 second beam generates 5.37 times 10 to the 15 newtons of constant force, roughly equal to the gravitational pull between the Earth and Moon. Now that's just one laser blast, or phaser blast, sorry. How fast would the recoil kick back the firing starship? That's the starship would be like, it's like 30% the speed of light. I mean, AI goes into some pretty deep math. We don't want to get into deep math. Okay, I'm not asking the right questions to get to the actual. It turns out to be about 30% the speed of light. That's the amount of kickback associated with these phasers. And so I did a video on these mega weapons in space and you always get people like, look, you could come and argue and make comments about this stuff online all you want. But you could just go to AI and Google it yourself and find out that these weapons would have such devastating recoil. Look, first off, the heat would melt the starship in a split second, right? First off. Second off, if you found some sort of... So first, if you fired a 1.61 yottajoule energy weapon that away, you would need your inertial dampeners then to create a 1.61 yottajoule reverse, right? Because if you've got inertial dampeners. So now, if you have on the human body, the human beings inside the starship, you've got 1.61 yottajoules going this way and 1.61 yottajoules going that way. You just can't say, well, it'll work out. It'll work out fine. Don't worry about it, mighty. It'll work out fine. 1.61 yottajoules this way, 1.61 yottajoules that way. Don't worry. It's called inertial dampeners. And they're magical, okay? They're magical. The physics and the science absolutely look, science fiction becomes science bullshit really fast. Really, really fast. And I'm not even a physicist. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You cannot unleash energies like this without absolute unbelievable kickback. So basically, if the Enterprise released a 1.61 yottajoule phaser blast, it would be kicked back at 30% the speed of light. That's the kickback. 30% the speed of light. The freaking power. So yes, does light and photons emit a recoil when? Yes, it does. That's so there's the how do I yeah. There we go. So no, it does have weight. It does have recoil. Yeah. So Scotty, my friend, yeah. And this is what people don't understand. They don't realize that if you're gonna fire that kind of energy and it's only photons and light, oh yeah, motherfucker, this thing has got recoil. It's got recoil like you've never. Because I got lights shining on me all over the place, right? I got a light here, up there. There's no recoil going on. No. It's only when you get up, A torpedo launched at warp speed would also have warp engines and go faster than the launching ship. That creates. Oh my god! Oh my god! Could you imagine the recoil if it's being launched from? Well, I guess if it's the physics. Look, the physics starts getting stupid. The physics starts getting stupid, especially a quantum torpedo that's a mini nuke of sort flying through space at warp speed and hitting anything, it would delete it. Yeah, you wouldn't need antimatter. You wouldn't need it. The antimatter would be a small fraction of the destructive power of something traveling at warp speed. Why would? But now you're now you're putting in warp engines into a torpedo. Well, what are we talking about here? Why don't you just take balls of rocks? You don't need a warp. You could just take like boulders like this size, put a warp engine on it, and just start firing them everywhere. It's the Holdo maneuver again, all over again. And all of a sudden things become stupid, right? Things become stupid because the screenwriters who have no science concepts, they don't understand science. They just think, we'll just beam torpedoes everywhere. We'll take torpedoes with antimatter and we'll just torpedo blitz them everywhere. Launch them. We'll just, oh my fucking God. Ben Feister, remember the very when Q chased the Enterprise D episode 1 at Farpoint, they were traveling at 9.8 speed when Q chased them. Yeah, that was because of course warp goes at warp 10, right? In TNG, that's the I do. Scotty, light produces pressure. It also it has mass. It doesn't have mass. A photon does not have mass, but the recoil is real. Because if a photon had mass, then of course a photon could not travel at light speed. Yada yada yada. I'm not saying I disagree with Got Bro. I'm simply saying the weaponry of Starfleet has its own perks with insane amount of impact force and momentum. Well, it does, but it's not momentum weapons, right? It's still they're energy weapons. Galactica has momentum weapons, and they are no less destructive. As a matter of fact, they are more destructive. Energy and momentum kinetic weapons are designed for destruction. Energy, I have energy shining all over me right now. It's not harming me. Now, at higher intensities, energy becomes heat. That's all energy basically is. And that's the byproduct of the energy, is heat. That's right. Now, kinetic energy, momentum, inertia is a totally different monster. So I get you, Ben Feister. I know what you're saying. I totally get you. Totally get you. Yeah. NASA's experimenting with solar sails, in fact, based. Yes, solar sails. And look, Avatar, the way that the ships get to, the Avatar ships get to Proxima Centauri, James Cameron uses laser sails. He actually uses it because there's basically sets up huge laser arrays that shoot lasers at the sail of the Venture Star. Is it a Venture Star, right? And these huge sails, they speed up to 70% the speed of light, and then about they get to 30 or 40% to the planet or the moon. They start to slow down. But theoretically, that's one of the ways they're talking about sublight speed is using laser arrays. I'm really thinking fast. I'm really thinking fast. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're thinking fast. Your brain works much faster than your fingers, is what you're saying. I really hate my phone right now. Oh, you're on a phone? Dude, you're on a phone? Here's an idea, bro. Look up the impact force of the Death Star super laser. Could it traveled? Oh, dude, I've done a video. I've done a video on the on the Death Star super laser. It would push the Death Star back at 70% the speed of light. The recoil on the Death Star 2's super weapon, because Star Wars is millions of times more energy than Star Trek. Yeah, it is insane amounts of energy. It would utterly destroy, melt. You cannot put that kind of energy into the Death Star. You can't, into anything. Hypermatter, coaxium, I don't care what it is. You would melt the Death Star, and if you didn't melt it, you would send it back at 70% the speed of light. Recoil. Yeah. What I meant was a torpedo launched at warp speed would also have to have warp engines to go faster than the launching ships. Otherwise, it ain't going nowhere. Right? Because if it, well, that's an interesting concept. So if you're traveling, it's the same thing. If you're it's relative, right? So if you're traveling on a starship going warp 1, the torpedo is already going warp 1. So if you fire the torpedo at warp 1, is it going at warp 2? Is that the relativity? So here's what I'm thinking. From what I understand with physics, I know now. I think I get what you're saying, Crank. The starship is going at warp 1. The torpedo within the starship is already going at warp 1. If you launch the torpedo at warp 1, is it going at warp 2? Yes. Yes, because it's already going warp 1. It already has the momentum. Because when that starship goes at that warp speed, it needs to move. All the physics and everything associated with it is put through everything within the ship. I think I got what you're saying, right? So if you have a car traveling at 60 miles per hour and you fire a gun, does it go the speed of the gun plus 60 miles per hour? I believe it does, right? I believe it does. Although you're talking about wind resistance and all these other within our atmosphere. I think that's I get faster than launching. Otherwise, it ain't go. Yeah, I believe because it's already going warp 1. I kind of now we're dealing with the vacuum of space, right? We're dealing with the vacuum of space, and but I do believe relativistic speeds. If you're going at warp 1, which is one time within a warp bubble. But here's the thing: you can't. If you shoot a torpedo out of, if you're in a warp bubble and you shoot the torpedo, you're shooting a torpedo out of your warp bubble. That is like breaking the membrane of your warp bubble and all of the energy particles in the outside of your warp bubble. Like, it just becomes ridiculously complicated at that point. Ridiculously complicated. I mean, these are things that are, look, they're beyond our pay grade. They really are. They are way beyond our pay grade. So, I might have to do some research after. It's, yeah. I don't know. That would be my thought. That's my thinking out of the box. So
say we all. So say we all.
Let's call it a night there, my friends. This is another Wednesday night, Dimension Zero. Crank, Scotty, Ben, everyone else that was in the Nicole, a whole bunch of other people. Thank you all for watching. Ben Feister, you have a great evening. Scotty, Crank, thank you, my friend. Hey, the show is made great because of you guys. So this is, these are like the dog days of summer. And, hopefully we touch on some subjects that elicit, damn right, we do. Long live Adama. Huh? Commander Admiral Adama. Long live Adama. You're damn right. Make it so. Scotty, my friend, always a pleasure. Thank you all for hanging out with me. You guys make this stuff a whole lot of fun.
You shall not pass!
I love these are like some of the new sounds that I put in like today, right? Today. So I like this one.
Hail the victorious dead.
Oh! Theoden, right? Theoden. Remember that? He's got the thing up. Hail the victorious dead. Hail. Love that shit. Love that shit. Scotty, you guys have a great night. Thank you all, guys. Thank you all. I am going to be live tomorrow on Poprageous on the movie channel. So if you want to join me tomorrow night on Poprageous. Otherwise, I'll see you next Wednesday on Dimension Zero. I got videos coming out every day on all the social media. Thank you all. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Cheers. Have a great weekend. A great dog days of summer. My name is Danny Alex, and this is Dimension Zero. Cheers, my friends.